if there's any slight leanings towards the Blaze, we'll forgive you. It's okay. You're allowed as part of that Blaze setup, of course. And you can see down there that guard of honour just waiting for the players to come out. We've just got a few minutes until play kicks off. Flags waving, a few crowds still rolling on in, which is always nice to see. And what has got me excited is that I can see a dog. And can you fill me in on this one, please, Grace?
Yeah, so that is, I believe, Lexi, the dog, who is Amy's dog down there. Amy's one of the Nottinghamshire umpires in the league.
And that's what we love to see. I just called you Grace. I'm sorry, we haven't even started. I'm already calling people by the wrong names. And that's what's really exciting. There's a dog on the field. So we can all tick that one off for today as well. And you can just see the players heading on down any minute. Names coming up on the screens, reverberating around the crowd. I'm not sure Ella Arridge is quite what she was expecting would be her name today, but nice to see them lit up on that big... I still think it looks like Batman, that scoreboard, with the spiky bits on the top. What do you think?
Do you know what? I've never actually noticed, and now you've said it, I can't stop seeing it. It's with the 2 points at the top, isn't it?
It's the 2 points, and I think if the floodlight gets it, we might get like the Batman shadow on the ground. Or I think I heard someone once say it looks like Bluey, like the silhouette of Bluey, but I'm going with Batman. I think that's what it looks like.
Do you know what's a phenomenal idea? If they did manage to get like a bee over the top of the floodlight and then you get a bee on the pitch.
Wouldn't that be nice? Oh. Or you could have like a spotlight that you have to try and get into.
Yeah, and as they're walking onto the pitch, just perfect.
Perfect, love it. Okay, right, sending that one upstairs. So this just each of the team's second game in the tournament so far. Obviously it only just kicked off last week. I was down at Utilita Bowl for that absolute nail biter between the Blaze and defending champions Vipers. Blaze coming out on top, so they're 1 from 1 so far, and Thunder in the Battle of the North would defeat Thunder. Did Thunder beat Diamonds? They did, didn't they? Yes, so Thunder beat the Diamonds by 8 wickets with 31 balls remaining in their game. So Diamonds looking to try and get their campaign underway, and Blaze looking to continue that momentum and that sort of fighting spirit from that game, because there was a wobble at the beginning, wasn't there?
There was, and I think that game was just a prime example of, you know, how long we bat all the way down the order. Obviously it was evident within the 50 over stuff, and as well as being evident in that first game, but it just shows the character and hopefully the positive brand of cricket that we're looking to play and put scores on the board that we can hopefully defend.
Yeah, we hear a lot about positive brand of cricket. Obviously there is more cricket going on around the country at the moment. Just down the road in Derby, England playing Pakistan. There's a few Blaze in action there. So from the inside, what's it like having to try and replace those players that head off to the England setup? I mean, it's exciting, obviously, to have them selected and off the go, but then you must think, oh, you're leaving us behind. We've got to fill these gaps. So what's the depth like in the squad to be able to fill those when your England players head off?
Look, I think, obviously I'm going to be slightly biased, but we're very fortunate in the squad we've got. We've got a lot of depth and we've got a lot of regional experience. Ultimately, when we've got, you know, some talented players such as Natsiva Brunt, Sarah Glenn and Tammy Beaumont, we know that sometimes we're going to get them and other times they're going to be away on international duty. So although we know that pretty early ahead in the summer, it also gives a fantastic opportunity for our wider squad to get opportunities within the games and hopefully take full advantage of it. So although we'd love to have them around because they're experienced and also they're world-class players, the opportunities that some of the players get is brilliant. And you know, the fact that we've got a squad that we've seen a bit of rotation through already, given how many games we've got, it's been fantastic for people to stand up and put performances in.
And no better place to put a performance in than somewhere like Trent Bridge. I've always been a big fan of Trent Bridge, not even a local one for me, but it's just a really nice ground to come to. So for you as part of the Blaze and as part of the squad, it must be nice to be able to play at such a big venue like this, a prestigious venue to play at. And then we're going to have double headers later on in the season with Nottinghamshire as well. So that's something that's really exciting. As we can see, the two umpires heading out there, and the Diamonds, they won the toss, which was done by little Arthur earlier on. They won the toss and they elected to have a bowl. I have a point here. I love that it says elected to bowl, because do you really elect a field? I wouldn't, you elect a bowl because no one wants to chooses, I'm going to go and stand in the field for 20 overs. We're going to have a bowl. So Diamonds won the toss and have elected to have a bowl. You can see them there just in that huddle. Really nice kit they've got on this year. I'm a big fan. And there's your two Blaze openers heading out to the middle. There's some firepower in there, isn't there?
There is, Teresa Graves and Marie Kelly, obviously an opening partnership. We've seen a fair bit throughout the 50 over and now heading into the T20s. Both very powerful players who will look to hopefully take the game forward, especially within the power play.
Yeah, Marie Kelly, we know what kind of firepower she does have with the bat. Yet to fire really this season. Just 4 against the Vipers the other day and a high score this season so far of 23 in that Hey-Ho Flint game against Thunder. So she'll be looking to try and rediscover a bit more of that. Top score of 33 for Teresa Graves so far this year. That was against the Diamonds in the Hey-Ho Flint Trophy. So both looking to sort of stamp some authority here on their home ground. Heading out early, obviously riding on that momentum of the last game. And they'll be wanting to show that the top order can fire just as much as the bottom order today.
Oh, massively. These two will absolutely go out and look to put their own stamp on the game and look to take a bit of responsibility and see what type of start they can get us off to.
Well, it looks like we're going to start with a bit of spin. It's going to be the Aussie, Erin Burns, to begin proceedings, move to the Diamonds this year from the Central Sparks, where she really shone last year and she took some absolute screamers in the field. So she's going to kick things off with a bit of right arm spin. That's nicely played off the back foot into the covers by Marie Kelly, and there's no run. She just has a little adjust of her helmet and surveys the field. Erin Burns, she's really done the rounds, hasn't she? Been in all the WBBL stuff, been at Sparks and now moved up north to the Diamonds. And we've gone for the reverse sweep here. That's a lovely start from Marie Kelly, and that is going to be the first runs of the day, and that's 4 off the bat of Marie Kelly, and that's the positive intent we want her to start with.
Oh, absolutely. Going back to Erin Burns, obviously a player of absolute quality with so much experience, both internationally and, in franchise competition. So they'll be looking to hopefully get her allocated overs out of her tonight. But yeah, excellent shot by Marie to start the day off.
Burns in again. And she's bowled up. Well, Marie Kelly, she looked to hoik it into the leg side. And she looks really frustrated with herself, and she's seen her middle stump go flying. Erin Burns, well, you reverse sweep me for 4, and I'm going to get you back. And that is the end of the opener. Marie Kelly, she goes for 4 from just 3. And what a start this is for the Diamonds.
Yeah, just showing Erin Burns' experience there, knowing, okay, I've been hit for a 4 first ball, but then ultimately sticking with her game plan. Unfortunate for Marie, but obviously Blaze are going to still continue to be very positive with the batting lineup that we've got today, and looking like coming in next is Catherine Bryce, who we know have had a fantastic time with Scotland, picking up multiple Player of the Match awards, and I'm sure she'll be looking to carry on that same form with Blaze tonight.
Yeah, what I really liked with that actually is both Catherine and Sarah Bryce, they came back from that World Cup qualifier, obviously made history qualifying for the World Cup for the first time with Scotland, and they basically came straight into it. And it was almost off the plane and onto the field for the Blaze.
Oh, seeing them at Trent Bridge, especially in a nail biter versus Storm, is just fantastic. They're such a big part of this team, which is fantastic for us.
Burns in again, and that's just played back of square leg by Catherine Bryce, and she's off the mark. And there's just the 1 run, so score moves on to 5 for 1. That wicket so far to fall Marie Kelly. You can see the floodlights already on. A few in with some large coats on. It might be the end of May, but it's not quite time to put the winter coat away. I thought about it. I teased putting the winter coat away, and then the rain was like, no, don't do it yet. So it's not gone yet.
Yeah, last week gave us a bit of a trick, didn't it?
Flighted delivery, hit up in the air. And they're going to come back for a second. The throw comes in from the boundary. There's Bess Heath out there at long on. And they come back. They come through for 2 or just the 1? Just the 1. She sort of slipped as she went for the throw. She seems all right. Fuller delivery, not quite timed by Catherine Bryce, fielded in the covers. And there is no run. So the end of the first over, successful over that for the Diamonds. A wicket coming off just the third ball, that of the dangerous Marie Kelly. So 6 for 1 after 1. That's not quite the start Blaze would have been hoping for.
No, ultimately probably losing a wicket in the first over. But as we've just seen from Teresa Graves, hitting her first ball, looking to go aerial, looking to hit the gap, it shows hopefully that we're still looking to kick on with that respect. Obviously fair play to Erin Burns opening up with spin, especially within the power play, but looking to keep a nice tidy over, which I'm sure just one boundary off it they'll be pretty pleased with the start.
Well, we've got one Scot out in the middle batting, that's Catherine Bryce, and there's another Scot now with the ball in hand, Rachel Slater. Obviously missed out on the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy, was out in Dubai with the Scotland team. Not yet to pick up a wicket, played against Thunder in their previous game, 0 for 25 she went for in that one, but we're going pace. That's nicely played into the covers and there is no run.
Yeah, we can see towards kind of extra cover and mid-off, that's quite a short boundary, so fielders getting their angle right, particularly on that part of the ground, is going to be really important, because if you break in the field there, you're probably looking at a boundary option there.
Slater with that skip in her run-up, and that's full and straight and just played straight back to the bowler who fields off her own bowling. She's found a line of length early here, Rachel Slater. Very interesting run-up though, isn't it? She sort of sets off and then goes for a bit of a horse gallop in the middle of it and then carries on running.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't particularly bowl, it's very interesting to see how routine-based all the bowlers are, and they always have a start that they stick with.
So a few runs and then a sort of gallop, and then she's in, and that's just worked into the leg side. Again, no run.
Tell you what, there's worse places to be than Dubai to start off the summer season, isn't it? Get rid of the cold from here and go somewhere hot.
Yes, you do say that, but they did have a lot of flooding recently, didn't they? There was that as well, and I sort of had this image of them heading off to their games in kayaks.
When it rains there, it definitely does rain, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they just like to do everything bigger and better than everyone, even flooding, don't they? In again, and that's up in the air, just over the bowler. One bounce, fielded nicely at mid-on. Diving field. That's definitely stopped a boundary, that one. They've come through for the one run. Made a lovely noise off the bat.
Yeah, that looks like Bess again, just putting a stint in the field already.
Us Heaths, we're always putting in stints in the field. Whereas I actually am just doing it from my bottom in the commentary box. So, you know, everyone has a job to do. Slater in again, left arm over, and that's played sort of swatted to square leg, and they'll come through for the one run.
Yeah, two individuals, both out in Dubai, as you previously said, probably know each other very, very well. Obviously, Catherine Breen, captain of Scotland as well. Hopefully, it'll be a pretty good matchup to watch these two go against each other.
Yeah, it's a bit of a contrast, isn't it? One day you're really celebrating reaching a World Cup, the next day you're taking each other on out in the middle. Well, she goes aerial. That is a lovely looking shot from Teresa Graves, and two bounces out to the mid-wicket boundary, and that's the second 4 of the innings.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic strike. We've seen Teresa Graves in the first over be pretty strong, hitting particularly over mid-wicket, and this time she gets her reward in a 4.
Well, it closed out the second over. It was a pretty tidy one until then, but in the end 6 coming from it. So at the end of 2 overs, the Blaze, having been put into bat, are 12 for 1, losing just Marie Kelly in that first over to Erin Burns, who looks like won't continue. And we're going to have a change in bowling again. Katie Levick with that sort of iconic bleach blonde streak in her hair now that we come to know so well, alongside her rather unique but effective bowling action. So spin again, and that's just played into the covers, and they look to run the first one hard, and it's good running in the end. They come back for the second, put the pressure on the fielder out at deep extra.
Yeah, we know last time, especially within the 50 overs, Levick had some fantastic figures against us, so it looks like Catherine's gone out straight away with an intent to score.
And that's Fuller from Levick, and just defended out by Catherine Bryce to extra cover. Is that Holly Armitage down there? And that's cut away just to backward point, and again, can't get it through that inner ring at the moment, Catherine Bryce. This is good recovery from Levick, being taken on with the first delivery, backs it up with 2 dots. She's in again, and the use of the feet, and it's gone aerial again from Catherine Bryce, just over mid-on, and they do well to come back for the second. This is really good running from the 2 out in the middle.
Yeah, just unfortunate. As it's hit the ground, it's just plugged a little bit there. But no, fantastic. Teresa Grave coming back to the danger end and getting the miles in already.
Oh, so is Bess Heath. She's doing the fielding again. And just struggling to read that one. You can see there, Catherine Bryce. She tried to play it off the back foot, found herself sort of with her legs almost akimbo in that sort of split stance. And it's fielded backward point, and there is no run.
Just a change in the field now. So they've brought up cover and they've put out, so they've got a deep square, and now they've got a deep mid-wicket out there.
And that's again played off the back foot, and it just beats a diving fielder at point, and it's fielder giving chase out there, and they're going to come back for the second. So 6 coming from the over. At the end of 3, the Blaze 18 for 1. Yeah, I like seeing this sort of intent from these two. You know, there's no hanging around. They know this is T20 cricket and they've got to get going quickly. There's no time to really back yourself in. And I think actually when you're in the form that someone like Catherine Bryce is in, you don't really need time to try and back yourself in.
No, I think, and she's mentioned it in her preview, that, you know, her and Sarah have had the opportunity to play a lot of T20 cricket, particularly over the last few months. So coming straight into this kind of format is hopefully something they've had a lot of experience with, and it probably doesn't feel like a first T20 for them. It probably feels like their 50th at this point.
Yeah, just every day, isn't it? So another Scot. We're in an abundance of, I don't know what the plural, what's the word? Collective noun is for Scots. A haggis of Scots out in the middle is Catherine Fraser, who captained that under-19 team at the under-19 World Cup last year. Comes on to bowl. We've gone back to spin, and that's just, she's just waited on that and played it into the onside, and they think about coming back for the second, but don't risk taking on the arm of Holly Armitage.
No, I bet it gets quite interesting around the Blaze camp when the Six Nations are on. You've got Scots, English and Welsh, so I bet it gets very competitive.
Go for the reverse sweep, and that's nicely played. And the fielder gives chase. And again, they come back for the second.
It's mad to think that now the reverse sweep is just a shot that is just in every player's repertoire, and they just look to play it with such ease.
They do make it look easy though, don't they?
Oh,
but when it goes wrong, it's just, you end up in all akimbo. As Bryce faces up. And she's been beaten there, and she tries to play it off the back foot and sort of has to help herself up with the bat. You know, when you end up in that position, you sort of use your bat to hoik yourself back into position. Bat raised, Fuller delivery, and that's the shot she was looking for, but still can't pierce that infield. Fielded at point. There's that Leah Dobson out there.
We can see the intent already by the bowler, just looking to hang it slightly wide, trying to force her to play through the covers. I suppose if she gets it through, it's 4 because all of the cover side are up at the moment.
Again, picks out that fielder. Just not quite timed. This is tight from Catherine Fraser. Definitely one of those names to keep an eye out for. Use of the feet, back over the bowler's head. One big old wallop. Couple of bounces, and it rolls over the boundary and puts a big old blemish on the end of a pretty tidy over. So in the end, 7 coming from it. The end of 4, the Blaze 25 for 1.
Catherine just showing her class there. 3 dots, but no panic at all. Knows her options pretty clearly. Sees both fielders are up mid-on, mid-off, and looks to go over the top, which is fantastic from her, and it's taken that over from potentially only being 3 going up to 7.
Yeah, sort of, excuse me, I'm your international captain. This is how I'm going to play you. Go fetch.
I was going to say, what's the conversation if you get your captain out?
Oh, I don't know. Do you have to do a fine? Do you turn up to international training ahead of the World Cup later in the year, be like, remember that time? Oh, Rachel Slater has changed ends. The left armour, and Graves looks to hoik it back to her, but not quite time, just hit into the ground and fielded off her own bowling.
Looks like Holly's showing her intent with the bowlers, looking to change it up pretty frequently, not letting these batters set one bit. Everyone's going in 1 over stints. It'll be interesting if one bowler does have a pretty good over, are they going to look to keep him on, or is it going to keep changing each over?
Platt swinging, and she's been struck on the pad, but it's pretty high up if you ask me. High, going down leg, and the umpire just sort of shoves his hands in his pockets and doesn't even really make eye contact.
He might be very cold. We're not actually quite sure how cold it is out there.
Yeah, you might have those, not tea bags. What's the word I'm looking for? They look like tea bags, the ones in your pocket.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a few of those in over the past few games, I can assure you of that.
It's when you have to have them in your shoes as well. Right, left arm over, and that's hoiked into the leg side and just backward of square leg, and that's another boundary. And Graves, she moves on to 15, and the Blaze are charging here.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier about that boundary being a particularly short one. If you look to beat the fielder either side, whether there's a boundary fielder out there or not, you're probably going to get your reward. So bowlers, particularly coming from the media end now, are going to be even more important to hold their line.
Slater in again, that Platt swinging away, and that's a better line. And still worked into that leg side. Fielder out there, cuts it off. It's the captain, and they just come through for the 1.
Yeah, Leah Dobson out there, we know what a good fielder she has been, particularly through the 100 period and particularly for diamonds over the years. So it's you know, a fielder you're always going to keep your eye on, definitely.
And in my eyes tested, I can't read the numbers. And that's just worked off the hip. And that's just beaten the fielder. And you know what? That's going to race for another 4. Unlucky.
Considering the rain, particularly we had yesterday, to see such a fast outfield, the batters are going to be very happy to see that from both sides. You know, we've had a few games where it's been very rainy and the ball's maybe plugged or slowed out because they haven't been able to cut the outfield, but these are really positive signs.
Well, it's been a great start this so far for the Blaze. Not even 5 overs in, and 34 on the board. Final delivery of this over from Slater's second. And it's a tidy finish. Well, in the end, 9 coming from the over. The end of 5, and the Blaze 34 for 1. Yeah, you'd be pretty pleased with this, wouldn't you, having been put into bat. Losing that early wicket, but the recovery has been fantastic by these two out in the middle.
Oh, absolutely. We always talk in cricket about partnerships, and however big or small in T20s, having 2 batters that are looking however set they may feel is a massive bonus. The more balls they can face and put together a partnership, understand the running between the wickets better, hopefully the more they can go and kick on to what will hopefully be a defendable total.
Well, Erin Burns, who bowled that first over, picked up the wicket of Marie Kelly. Is changed ends, and she's back on to bowl. And that's a nice positive intent again from Graves out in the middle, but she can only pick out the fielder at sort of wide mid-off. And there is no run. That's just clipped away to square leg again, no run. Yeah, like you're saying, the rotation of the bowlers, they're not letting them get used to anyone swapping ends, swapping bowlers. It's innovative from Armitage, and that's given a bit more flight. She used her feet, it's gone up in the air, and it's gone straight down the throat of mid-off, who drops it. Hands on her head, she cannot believe that she has dropped that, Catherine Fraser.
Big chance there for Diamonds looking to dismiss Graves, but she's still there and she's still got an important role, so hopefully we go on from there.
Reverse sweep from Catherine Bryce bisects the two fielders and they give chase, and it's going to be cut off just before the boundary. But what a moment that could have been. That could have been Erin Burns' second wicket. We know she's a game changer, and breaking that partnership was so key, and if I'm honest, that should have been taken almost 10 times out of 10.
And unfortunately, they are always the hardest ones to take when you know it goes up in the air and you've got all your thoughts in your head and the only thing you should be thinking is catch the ball, but they're not always that easy.
Quicker delivery from Burns, played into the leg side, and they scamper the first very quickly, think about coming back from the second, and don't want to take on the arm of Emma Marlowe out at deep mid-wicket, and so it's just the one run.
Yeah, she's patrolled that boundary pretty well so far, trying to cut down as many twos as she can.
And she's bowled her. Erin Burns has her second wicket of the day. And she thought she had Graves just a few balls ago. And, well, you wouldn't mind that if you're Catherine Fraser, would you? You drop it, and actually she's not been forced to rue that pretty poor bit of fielding. And now the partnership is broken. Graves, she has to go. And it's Erin Burns with her second wicket of the day. And the Diamonds have two.
Yeah, it's a great delivery from Erin Burns. Just looking to keep it very simple and attack the stumps, and that's the quality she brings. Definitely, if you're a fielder that's just dropped a catch, you are hoping in the next couple of balls you get that wicket, and you probably have a bit of a sigh of relief after that.
Yeah, you'd be quite pleased, wouldn't you? Oh, I didn't want to have to make eye contact with her, but now she's salvaged it herself. It's almost like Erin Burns gone, if you can't do it, I'll just do it myself. Thank you.
No, second wicket of the night. But that brings out Sarah Bryce joining her sister Catherine in the middle. Two individuals who probably know each other better than any other two players that get the opportunity to play with each other. Probably from backyard cricket all the way to playing on the international stage, and now here at Trent Bridge for the Blaze against Diamonds today.
It's funny because when I think of backyard cricket, I think of it being really warm, but then you think of backyard cricket in Scotland, must just be so different.
Yeah, you see all the nice videos from Australia where they can prepare a wicket in the garden, and yeah, you're probably preparing a mud patch out here, aren't you, really?
Well, Holly Armitage bringing herself on to bowl. Again, a change of bowler, and that's a flighted delivery just dug out to deep extra by Sarah Bryce, and Catherine Bryce, I should say. It was the end of the over, wasn't it? So power play done. So the two Bryce sisters out in the middle. Two of Scotland's finest.
Already the sixth over, and Armitage is the fifth bowler they've used so far. So really looking to rotate bowlers around and give lots of different people opportunities to almost unsettle the batters in any way they can.
Yeah, and she'll be thinking, how can I keep Erin Burns up my sleeve? I've got to make sure she's still got overs in hand because she is a game changer. That's quicker through the air from Armitage and just worked into Bess Heath again, coming down from long on. She's getting the yards in today. Be interesting to see her step count.
Well, everyone's got GPSs in the back of them now, and it's all tracks of distance, and all the S&Cs looking at it, so I'm sure there'll be a competition who's done the most.
Again, full delivery from Armitage, and that's well fielded at point. And they'll come through for just one run. And that's one more to the total, 42 for two. The two Bryce sisters out in the middle. They were out there for that winning moment. Scotland versus Ireland in that semi-final in Dubai. I mean, the temperatures in Dubai might feel a little bit far from this. Armitage in again. Flighted delivery again, dug out by Catherine Bryce and fielded out on the boundary by, is that Emma Marlowe out there?
I believe it is. Not always the easiest fielding out there. We've seen how big the wicket square is at Trent Bridge, and if you get that ball to land on a used ones, it can have a mind of its own.
And there's a bit of covering on a pitch over here as well. If it bobbles up from that, and that's beaten the edge, and that's a good final delivery from Armitage. Well, 5 coming from it, all in the ones, so lots of running for the Bryce sisters. End of 7 overs in this match here at Trent Bridge between the Blaze and the Diamonds. Blaze having been put into bat off 43 for 2.
Yeah, very tidy over by Armitage there. Obviously better known for her batting, but as we saw in that last Rachel Hale-Flint game against the Sparks, looked to take 3 wickets at the back end of that, and is obviously putting in a shift tonight with the ball with her team.
And so it looks like Grace Hall will be handed the ball, and I've not done that on purpose, and that was a terrible rhyme. Apologies to everyone, anyone, myself, my family. I can only apologise.
You're secretly impressed with it,
Oh,
though.
I'm so pleased. Yeah, Grace Hall with the ball. Yeah. And Lauren Winfield-Hill there behind the stumps. Nice Diamonds kit. We were talking about this earlier. Looks nice this year with the diamonds on the sleeves. Grace Hall is in, bustling in, and that sort of slingy action, and just played along the ground to point, and there's no run.
We've seen straight away that Diamonds have gone with 4 out. They've got 3 out on the lead side, square, mid-wicket and long on, and then covering that short boundary that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, Grace Hall playing just her second game of this summer. She's in again, and that's just worked up to long on for 1 run, 1 to the total. Do you think you get to this point when your sister's batting together, you don't really need to say much? Does it become like twin telepathy?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a twin. She doesn't particularly play a lot of cricket, and I think we'd need a lot of conversations, but I can imagine the amount of these two have played, they probably know each other's game pretty well.
The chance that you're a twin, and we've brought up twins, is quite slim. I mean, there's probably some mathematical equation to it, but we'll leave that for another day. Hall in. And that's full and straight and just chipped up in the air into the leg side. Lands safe. Fielder comes in and they had another 1 to the total.
Yeah, Diamond's definitely showing that they're pretty happy with 1s at this point of the game, leaving a pretty open gap for Sarah and Catherine to rotate through.
They do what they're really good at rotating the strike, actually. I find that really impressive by the Blaze. All of them so far that we've seen. Always looking to push that first one, as that's worked just backward of square by Catherine Bryce. And Rachel Slater comes down and does the fielding.
I think within the women's game we see, you know, how much is put on boundaries, which are massively important, which kick your score on, but it's what you do in between those boundaries as well. And if you can get that higher strike rotation percentage, you hope that that leads you on to a bigger score then. So how can I eliminate these dots, which at the moment they're doing pretty well.
Hall in again. And again worked just backward of square by Sarah Bryce. That's another 1 to the total. Score moves on to 47 for 2. Pretty good looking crowd. I've just had some few messages in saying healthy looking crowd, especially on a chilly Thursday evening in Nottingham. They say if you can't do it on a Tuesday night in Stoke, well, you can do it on a Thursday night in Nottingham. That's what I say. As Hall is in again. That slingy action, that's just hit up in the air, lands safe, and again picks out Slater just at deep square, and that closes out the 8th over. The Blaze 48 for 2.
Yeah, we've definitely seen an increase in midweek games given the significant amount of increase in fixtures that we've had, but I think what gives an opportunity, especially these night games, is when you've got individuals in school after work, they've still got the opportunity to come and watch some high quality cricket, which hopefully brings more crowds in and builds the support up for the women's domestic teams.
Yeah, things we love to see also means that when I drive home later, there won't be so much traffic.
Correct. You're not going to be driving home in rush hour traffic, are you?
No. Oh, I arrived. So I was up in Leeds at Headingley last week, and I got there sort of 11 o'clock on Saturday night, and I had to drive along Otley Road. I have never seen so much fancy dress in my whole life. I saw 4 lots of Power Rangers, and by the 4th one, I'll come to that in a minute, as Levick is going to continue, and that's just worked off the back foot, backward of point by Catherine Bryce, and they do really well to run the second, but they don't need to because it's gone for 4. 3 fielders couldn't stop that one.
Fantastic start to the over. We always look at how can batters put pressures straight on bowlers, and that's the exact way you want to do it, starting off with a boundary, just beating in between backward point and short third. Yeah,
so the Otley run, 4 lots of Power Rangers. By the 4th one, I honestly felt like winding down the window and telling them to be more original with their fancy dress, as Levick is in again, and that's just played off the back foot to point by Catherine Bryce, and there is no run. Score remains 52 for 2.
Were they all different colours? There was a variety there?
I mean, they did have, had the full set of Power Rangers. Use of the feet. She looks to hoik it into the leg side, Catherine Bryce. Not quite read it or timed. And it just goes to fine leg along the ground, and there's, again, no run.
Yeah, I suppose the Saturday nights do bring out all the sorts of fancy dresses, don't they? Especially when it's summer, it's a bit hotter.
Well, that's chipped up in the air. Fielder comes round, takes the catch. Captain Holly Armitage is not going to put that one down at extra cover. And that is just the breakthrough that the Diamonds needed. The dangerous Catherine Bryce, she goes for 31 from 28, and Levick has her first.
Yeah, Levick being as consistent as she always is. Catherine just looking to go over and getting caught at extra cover by Holly, who's not going to be dropping that, given her experience.
Well, that is just the breakthrough that the Diamonds needed, because these two, we know how dangerous they can be. And Catherine Bryce, she's in form. She was also looking well set out there, 31 from 29, but she has to head off, bat under her arm. And she leaves. There's still a Bryce out in the middle. There's always a Bryce out there somewhere. The Bryce is right and all of that. And that, well, you get rid of Catherine Bryce. I can't imagine you'd be too excited, if you're a Diamonds player, to watch Nadine de Klerk stroll out to the middle.
No, obviously, Nads having a fantastic final game in the Rachel Hale Flint, scoring her century to beat Storm. And we saw the power hitting there, and hopefully it's something we can see tonight. But a fantastic individual to have around the group, heaps of experience at international level. And just a fantastic individual to have around the group.
I don't know her well, but she just does seem like she's got good vibes about her.
She's a fantastic character, very relaxed. Had the privilege of being able to bat out in the middle with her once, and just someone that's very clear on her options, and someone you almost want to just watch in the net and learn.
And make sure that you're hiding behind that net, just in case. As Levick is in again. That first delivery just defended by de Klerk and fielded at cover there by Dutch international Ster Callis.
Lots of mix of nationalities, isn't there? If you think about Scottish, South Africa, Netherlands.
Has played nicely off the back foot, and that gets de Klerk off the mark. Just the one. I was about to say Yorkshire, as Levick was bowling. I mean, they like to think they're a nation, I guess. And that closes out the ninth over. Wicket coming from it, and just the 5 runs. Levick with her first wicket of the day. Two overs bowled by her so far. 53 for 3, the score on the board. How would you be feeling if you're the Blaze at the moment, which you are?
Yes, in the flesh. Look, I think that partnership by Sarah and Catherine, they'll be really happy with. Ultimately, I'm sure they would have liked it to go on for a bit longer. I think the big thing for these two now is, can we look to build a partnership, and can we get as close to what we think is a par score, which wicket looked pretty good, a quick outfield, so I'm sure they're going to be hoping to race to a really nice total here today.
Yeah, you can sort of feel like the Blaze have come into this with that confidence of beating the Vipers in that first game. Obviously defending champions. They lost to them in that final last year. Hall continues, and that's just poked into the leg side, and Lauren Winfield Hill in those quite snazzy boots comes and does the fielding. Always got a snazzy boot on.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan. I'm quite a fan of getting, because it's quite common now that you just go and get some like tennis or some netball court shoes spiked, and you see all these jazzy colours coming out these days.
Well, there you go. I'm missing a trick as Hall is in again, and that's wide down the leg side, and fielder has to give chase. It's just slowing up. Luckily it's rained quite a lot the last few days. Katie Levick does the fielding and cuts it off. And they come through for 2. Really interesting slingy action. It's pretty. You can pick it out in a crowd, can't you? And again, that's better line from Hall.
You can, and I suppose as coaches, you can almost fall into the trap of trying to make everyone your orthodox bowler, but actually her having a point of difference is what works in her favour. We know she bowls with pretty good pace. We know she's got a Yorker in the tank as well. So to be able to be that point of difference and give something that the batters have to think about is a massive positive for Diamonds and herself.
Also, still only young, 21. Oh, to be 21, Grace Hall. And just chipped down to deep square.
The amount of young players getting fantastic opportunity at pro domestic level now is brilliant, and it definitely shows that the future is unbelievably bright within England and Wales at the moment.
It's brilliant, terrifying, and made me very worried when I spotted a grey hair earlier. So it's making me feel very old. And Hall is in again. And that's given a swat into the covers by Sarah Bryce. Made a lovely noise along the ground, but 2 fielders out there not going to get through there. And the score remains 59 for 3. Coming up towards the halfway mark through this innings. As Hall is bustling in. And nicely flicked away by Sarah Bryce out to deep mid-wicket, and they'll come through for 1 run. 1 more to the total. And I think also with something like an action, like a really slingy action, when it's just raw talent at an age, something like 21, just you're sort of letting them still find their rhythm, the way that she plays. And she's already had success. That's just played into the ground by de Klerk and fielded by Hall in her follow through. And that closes out 10 overs. So at the end of 10, the Blaze, having been put into bat 60 for 3.
Oh, I completely agree with your point. As young athletes, you want them to have as much personality within their game as possible. You want them to grow their own brand of cricket that makes them successful. No 2 players ever play the same. If they did, we'd have a lot of very boring cricket matches. So, the fact that we've got so many youngsters that are being allowed to explore what their game is and how they're looking to take the game on in their own way is fantastic. And hopefully we've seen the likes of your Capsies come through and look to take on the game. Danny Gibson coming through as well. We've got so much talent at such a young age. It's so amazing.
Well, Holly Armitage to continue, and that's clubbed up to long on, and Bess Heath in the action again. Cuts it off, and there's 1 more to the total. So 60 up for the Blaze. 61 for 3 they are. And tries to play it off the back foot. Looks annoyed with herself, de Klerk. Not timing it yet. Just 2 from 6. And we do know that she can be an explosive batter. Armitage in again, right arm over. And it's played off the back foot into the leg side by de Klerk. And she picks up another, moves on to 3 and brings Sarah Bryce back on to strike. You feel like it is just slowing slightly. That breaking that partnership really has had a difference here for the Blaze. Put the stoppers on slightly. Well, that's been given some welly through the covers along the ground by Sarah Bryce. Made a lovely noise, and it's raced to the boundary. Doesn't matter how much it rains, it's not going to slow that down.
No, fantastic timing there by Sarah Bryce. A boundary that was needed. We've seen that Diamond's putting 3 out on the leg side straight away has really limited the boundary options on that side. Sarah Bryce has just turned around and gone, all right then, I'll score 4 on the offside.
Yeah, it made such a lovely noise off the bat as well.
Oh, she is a clean striker of the ball.
Armitage in again, and that's almost an identical shot, just not quite timed the same by Bryce. Fielder comes in and cuts it off, and they come through for 1 run.
These two definitely looking to build a partnership in through here, looking to see if they can take this score hopefully as close to 100 as possible and even kicking on further than that by the end of the 20.
Well, just slightly outside the off stump from Holly Armitage, and de Klerk can't capitalise. Tries to cut it through. Picks out the fielder, and there's no run. So end of 11 overs. Blaze 67 for 3.
We can definitely see the lights taking effect now as a couple of dark clouds, but we're not expecting any rain, which is very positive news. But there are, as you said earlier, a lot of coats out there at the moment. The flags are blowing in the wind, so I can imagine there's a bit of wind out there, potentially impacting which end the bowlers are coming from as well. But as we can see, Fraser making a return now. Scotland v Scotland again.
Oh, the Scots, the Battle of the Scots, Braveheart, something like that.
Still sticking with 3 out on the leg side and a deep cover out.
That's just worked off the back foot by Sarah Bryce. Up to Bess Heath again, coming running in. And there's a collision. She's on the floor. I think she's okay.
I think as the fielder, I think as Marlowe's looked to take her arm back, I think she's almost taken out Bess at the exact same time. But fantastic running by there. Nad's running back to the danger end and getting there with ease in the end.
Just worked off the back foot by Sarah Bryce into the leg side, and they run the first one hard again, but no chance of a second there. And de Klerk takes evasive action to avoid the throw as it comes back in. Bit of a hip wiggle around that one.
You're almost there waiting in case there's overthrows, but then you've also got to move out of the way of the ball at the same time.
And it's a slog sweep into the leg side. Looked like it was going to bisect the two fielders, and that's really good work out on the boundary. Oh, is that Rachel Slater out there? And she gets the applause from Winfield Hill behind the stumps.
Yeah, we almost thought that was a given four, struck very hard. Looked like to pierce the gap, but Slater made excellent ground, looking to keep that just to the two.
Fraser in again, and just sort of prodded into the ground by de Klerk.
Yeah, this second over by Fraser definitely looks like she's looking to attack the stumps more. Was slightly wide, looking at more sixth stump line, but definitely looking to bring the stumps more into play now.
Nicely played off the back foot. There are two fielders out there. Good running again. And Armitage threatens the stump. She's wearing sunglasses, Holly Armitage. I'm unsure, but I don't know if it's a style thing, because it's definitely not sunny. The floodlights are just getting brighter, actually. Does it combat the floodlights? As Fraser is in again. And that's just defended back to the bowler, and there's no run.
I'll be honest, I'm a fan. Even if it doesn't look sunny, it can still be pretty glary. But also we've got to appreciate there are a lot of good sunglasses rocking around these days.
I mean, yours are all right. You've got them on, perched on your Blaze hat on your head. You do know you still have the sticker on your cap.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
Is this a thing?
Well, I think so. I think some have got stickers on, some have taken stickers off. I've opted to keep mine, I have.
Okay, all right. But the thing is, because, I mean, you're slightly more vertically challenged than I am. So people actually will look down and they will see, if I wore it, no one would have a clue. There'd just be this beam as it reflects the light off my hat. But I can see yours, and yeah, okay, all right.
What I'll do is I'll have to get a count from the Blaze girls who's still got the sticker on and who hasn't, and you never know. After this, I might get a few messages going, actually, you need to take the sticker off, and at that point, I will, probably through peer pressure. To be honest.
And does it get to the point when it's not really very sticky anymore, and you think, should I glue it on?
Well, my hat. So I've got my playing cap and my coaching cap, and that one has stayed on so far.
Well, change of ends for Grace Hall, and that's going to be called wide down the leg side. And there was a bit of a mix-up in the middle. Sarah Bryce she was almost actually on top of Nadine de Klerk. So she's almost run two in this time de Klerk has got back up off her knees. But they don't run one, it's just the wide.
Sarah Bryce is unbelievably quick. So I would always back her to get back that end when Nads was still down on one knee.
Hall in again. Much better line. And they sprint on through for one. Yeah, Sarah Bryce, she does look pretty nippy, actually.
Yeah, both of these two in the middle on, I'm sure they'll look to put pressure on, but as we've just seen, Leah Dobson racing off the boundary there, trying to keep it to one as best she could.
Some of us just weren't built for sprinting, and that was me. More of a long distancer, as Hall is in again. Well, Sarah Bryce gave that the full beans, the kitchen sink, the fridge, the freezer, and perhaps even the cocktail shaker, but didn't make contact. And it's a dot ball in the end.
Yeah, a bit of width given there by Hall. Sarah looking to put it away, but unfortunately not connecting with it, because I believe that would have gone an absolute mile if she had.
I think we'd still be looking for it. Hall in again. And that's up in the air. Fielder comes round a backward square. And she's put it down. There's a chant of, oh, around the ground. And you just can't be dropping those. And that's Catherine Fraser. Hands on her head. And what a moment that would have been in the game. It was a pretty easy take. It would have been Hall's first wicket of the match as well. But as things stand, the partnership remains. And de Klerk just works that to backward square. You just can't be dropping these at this level, really.
No, a bit of a lifeline there given, but nevertheless these two are out there still trying to build a partnership.
A slower ball from Hall, and Bryce looks to set off. I mean, a more accurate throw, and actually she could have been floundering in the middle.
Yeah, incredibly tidy over by Hall, almost creating a wicket opportunity, but no boundaries gone for so far.
Yeah, Hall in again. Started off with that wide, but really tidied it up since then. And that's nicely played off the back foot. Great noise, Sarah Bryce, as Armitage comes round at extra cover, does the fielding. And there's 1 run to close out the over. So at the end of 13, Blaze 78 for 3. There should have been a wicket in that over, put down by Catherine Fraser.
Yeah, excellently fielded by Armitage there. If she hadn't got that, we would have been sure to have had that to fall, but unfortunately a drop there, which is fortunate for Blaze. These two are still out in the middle, but unfortunately for Diamonds, there's still only 3 wickets for the Blaze with 7 overs remaining.
Well, we know who can take wickets, and it's Erin Burns, and she's coming back on to bowl. Picked up 2 already so far today, and this is a positive change here from Holly Armitage. Erin Burns bowling from the Stuart Broad end.
Definitely look to break this partnership here. You can imagine that's why they brought on the wicket taker that is Erin Burns so far in the game.
But they've made their chances. That's the problem. We've had 2 drop catches already in the game. The Diamonds, that's just sort of unforgivable at this level, especially someone like Sarah Bryce. We know she can push on. She scored a 35-ball 100 in the warm-up games, and that's hoiked up in the air. It's going to land safe. Fielder coming around it. Deep mid-wicket off the boundary, and that's just 1 in the end for the noise it made.
Yeah, sometimes as a batter, if you connect with it, you want it to go, and other times actually just not getting hold of it is great because you're still going to get your 1 out of it, and especially with the leg side being that slightly longer boundary, allowing them to get 1 through there.
Burns in again. That's just nicely dug out by de Klerk, but picks out the fielder at cover along the ground, and there's again no run. De Klerk just struggling to get going here. That's just worked into the leg side by the South African, and they'll come through for 1 run. It brings Sarah Bryce back on strike, which I think as a Blaze team member you want to see at the moment. You see de Klerk at the non-strikers just rehearsing that sweep shot.
Yeah, we obviously saw Sarah's class last week in a warm-up game against Diamonds.
Use their feet, chipped up in the air, down the throw to the fielder. It's a good catch. Over her head in the end. And the Diamonds finally, they take a catch. And that is the end of a dangerous Sarah Bryce. Yes, 100 in a warm-up game, but she has to go for 18 today. And Erin Burns, well, she's got the Midas touch today. She's picked up 3 wickets already.
Yeah, Sarah Bryce looking to go aerial over mid-off, but I believe that's Grace Hall there looking to take a good catch overhead. When a couple go down, you're almost like, oh, do I want the ball to come to me next? But she's done excellently there in taking a phenomenal catch and ending the very dangerous, as we've seen, Sarah Bryce. Which actually brings another wicketkeeper into the middle. So Ella Claridge coming in. Fantastic knock by her and Nadine against Storm in the last Rachel Heo Flint, where they managed to knock off Storm with an unbelievable partnership. So hopefully these two coming together will also be positive signs of the Blaze after having a few stints batting in the middle together.
Yeah, well, de Klerk, she needs to just accelerate. Accelerate? Well, she can accelerate and celebrate all at the same time if she accelerates. Well, I'm just inventing words now. Christ. It's been a long old day. So she just needs to accelerate a little bit here with Ella Claridge. And they've got to rebuild a partnership. 80 for 4. They've got that foundation. Still over 6 overs to come. They'll just want rid of Erin Burns, I think. 3 for 12 for the Aussie. And Claridge is off the mark straight away, just working it into the onside for 1 run.
So is what you like as a batter. If you can get off the mark first ball, just gives you into a little routine, especially in T20 cricket where we're looking to eliminate as many dots as possible. Excellent work by Ella Claridge, getting off strike straight away, getting Nadine back on strike.
De Klerk, 9 from 15. And that's just work backward of square. And they run the first one hard. Fielder's giving chase, and it's cut off just at the boundary. And they'll come through for a second run. Well, De Klerk actually turning to Claridge turning to come back for a third. But De Klerk facing in the opposite direction at that point. So end of 14 overs, Blaze 83 for 4. Wicket to fall in that over. Sarah Bryce, she went for 18 from 20, and again Erin Burns, 3 overs for her, 3 for 15. You wouldn't mind that, would you?
No, excellent figures, particularly in the shorter format. You know, she can tell you definitely got a role with Erin Burns coming in and looking to apply pressure back onto the batting team, not only through wickets but with dot balls and limited boundaries as well. But it looks like we've got Levick coming back on, who we also know is very dangerous and very experienced within this format.
Levick in again, and that's chipped up in the air. Levick calls it herself, and she takes the catch. Picks up her first wicket, her second wicket of the day. And this is just what the Diamonds needed. And Ella Claridge, she goes caught and bowled by Levick for 1. And the Diamonds celebrating their top edge. And straight away, Levick called mine. Just about clung on to it.
I was going to say there'll be a little grin after that, I'm sure. But excellent work doing the fielding off her own bowling, which brings Josie Groves to the crease. Obviously out with England in their recent under-19s tour. Fantastic individual in the squad. Very good netballer as well, actually.
She is, yes. She was part of the England pathway.
But also an incredibly good striker of the ball. So better known for her leg spin, but we know she has the capabilities to clear the boundary ropes as well. And I'm sure she'll be looking to do a good stint for the team today.
She also has a very artistic mother who makes England, at the Under-19 World Cup last year, every time I found her, she had a new flag or a new poster, and she never stopped dancing the whole time.
Josie's mum is probably the biggest Blaze supporter, and we love having her around.
And that's just worked into the leg side, and Josie Groves off the mark straight away. Yeah, she's proper supporter, proper mum vibes.
Yeah, hardcore, fair play to her, always around, always cheering, which is fantastic to see.
And that's bowled up. Katie Levick, well, she's got 2 in 3, and that is the end of Nadine de Klerk. Well, this is just what the Diamonds would have wanted. We thought the Blaze were starting to get away from them, but wickets tumbling now. 84 for 6, the Blaze.
Katie Levick, 2 wickets in 1 over. Fantastic work from her. Unfortunately brings the end to Nadine.
Yeah, there's been quite some recovery from the Diamonds. It did look like the Blaze were really getting motoring, but she just looked to play that off the back foot, gave herself room, and said goodbye to her off stump. Well, Katie Levick, 3 for 12 for her.
Having a competition with Erin Burns at this point.
Yeah. And that brings Michaela Kirk out to the middle.
Fantastic to see Michaela getting an opportunity. We've seen her be pretty proficient within twos cricket and also at the start of the season, so I'm sure she'll be looking to build a pretty good partnership here with Josie. Fantastic individual, fantastic fielder. Some of the catches I've seen her take over the season have been absolutely tremendous.
Levick in, and that's a flighted delivery, and that's solid defence, that, from Michaela Kirk. And that's chipped up in the air. It's going to land safe, just over extra cover. And she's off the mark.
It's landed on that covered pitch, and I was just curious what the ball was going to do, but it has given Marlowe out in the boundary a nice bounce, which all fielders hope for.
Be funny if it was actually just a big hole and it just fell through. Levitt quicker through the air, and that's up, chipped up in the air. Fielder. Oh, it's a wonderful diving effort. She's put it down, but that was full stretch coming in from long on, and she gets a high five, Bess Heath. Not quite kept it in her hands, but almost 3 in the over for Katie Levick, and what a game changer. 2 wickets in that over for her. 15 down, Blaze 86 for 6.
Fantastic effort there by Bess. Josie looking to take on the leg side. It hung in the air for an incredibly long time, but a flat out, almost super-like-esque dive, but unfortunately just couldn't cling on to it in the last minute.
Well, Catherine Fraser coming back on to bowl. Finally, only one Scot involved in the action. You can see her ponytail blowing. It's quite windy out there. And not really much use of the feet there by Josie Groves. And it's along the ground up to Erin Burns at long off, sort of a wide long off. And they come through for 1 run.
Looking to come around the wicket now, so potentially a change in angle, trying to almost cramp the batter, or looking to do something different, bring the stumps more into play. Be interested to see how Michaela Kerr deals with this.
Yeah, she's just waiting on that one, just poked into the offside. Leah Dobson comes in, does the fielding. You can sort of hear the voices a bit more now. You can tell the Diamonds feel they've really got themselves back into this game. It had gone quite quiet when they were firing out in the middle. But those wickets, and again played off the back foot by Kirk, and they have to be quick, run through. Direct hit, and she might have been gone. Holly Armitage there in those sunnies. She only had 1 stump to aim at, though. It's always going to be difficult. It's good running. Score moves on to 88.
Yeah, you can see the positive intent by both teams, looking to run hard but also attack those stumps if there's a run-out opportunity.
Groves faces up. Again, round the wicket this, and struck on the pad. Well, Lauren Winfield-Hill really likes it. They had to be quick to run through. Fielder comes in, diving, underarm throw, and they are safe. But it's all the action going on out there. Lauren Winfield-Hill, she was almost too distracted by the appeal to get herself in position for the chance of a run-out. Leah Dobson came flying in.
We had everything. We had an LBW appeal, we had a run, we almost had a run out, and then we had a fantastic stop to stop the overthrows.
It's all going on here. Round the wicket again, looks to sweep, and that's wide down the leg side. And they scamper through for 1 as well.
Coming around the wicket, especially important to get line right, or you are going to have those leg sides, which Winfield's done really well to get hand on there and limit that to potentially what could have been more.
Well, that has been given quite some welly, and that is the first 6 of the match. Miles over the head of the fielder at deep mid-wicket. What a noise it made off the bat as well.
Josie Groves showing her boundary hitting ability there, just waiting for that slightly fuller ball to release her arms and hit directly over mid-wicket. And that's gone a good 5 metres over the boundary there, it has. It's not just cleared it, it's gone miles.
Yeah, the kind of one in your head you just think, doosh, as that comes off your bat, and you know as you make contact that is going a long, long way.
If you hit it and don't see the batter run, they know exactly how well they've hit it in that moment.
That's my kind of cricket. Hit it and don't have to run. Sounds fabulous. Round the wicket again from Fraser. Just played a bit of a deft touch into the leg side there by Josie Groves. They'll come through for 1 run.
For me, that's fantastic cricket. You hit a boundary straight away. 1, I'm on strike for the next over. Really, really well judged by Josie Groves there.
Yeah, so 4 overs still to come. So 16 overs gone, 98 for 6. Well, we did see they were absolutely flying at the beginning. Slowed down a little bit. A cluster of wickets to fall. Over, obviously, from Levick. 2 wickets falling in that. this has been a real injection of pace, especially off the bat of Josie Groves. Pushing up towards that 100. Still 4 more overs to play, and well, it's the dangerous Katie Levitt going to bowl her 4th. Coming over the wicket, and that's just found the top edge from Josie Groves, and that's going to raise very fine. And the fielder at 3rd is given chase. Well, I like that she went for the dive. I mean, it had already passed the boundary at that point, but you know what? Go for it. And that's another 4 to the total, and the 100 is up. 102 for 6 after just over 16 overs.
100 coming up by a very fine 4 off the top edge of Josie Groves' bat. But at this point, you don't mind how the boundaries come, you just hope they come, and that's fantastic by the Blaze.
Bit more flight given by Katie Levick and kept out by Josie Groves and fielded at, again, Bess Heath up there at mid-on.
She's getting the yards in tonight, isn't she?
She is. Oh, that whoop or whatever it is people are wearing, the kids are wearing these days, as Levick's in again and looks for the sweep Michaela Kirk, and it's good running again from Josie Groves, backing up quickly, and she scampers through, grounds her bat. First thing you're taught when you're batting, ground that bat. So we like to see it, put the pressure on the fielder as well. And it gets Groves back on strike. Well, she looked to hoik that one, was completely outdone by that, and actually laughs at it herself as it just flies past her bat into the gloves of Lauren Winfield Hill.
Yeah, Josie Groves is such a happy and smiley individual and very calm and collected.
She faces up again, raises her bat, and she just paddles it to backward square. Comes through for 1 run.
Shows how switched on both of these have been at the non-strikers end, consistently looking to take on the short 45, which if they know it goes there, it's a run straight away.
Levick in again, and well, Lauren Winfield Hill likes it. She's gone to appeal. Katie Levick is actually already walking back to her mark at that point, so completely uninterested by the appeal. And they come through for 1 run, so 17 overs down, 106 for 6 the score on the board. 3 overs still to come. Katie Levick, she's bowled out, but there was a mighty fine stint from her. 3 for 22 from her 4 overs.
Yeah, figures that you're not going to mind too much as a bowler in the shorter format, looking to pick up wickets and not going at a commie rate of 7.5. She's done a real good stint for her team tonight and made it particularly hard to pick up boundaries.
Well, Rachel Slater is going to bowl the 18th from the Stuart Broad end. And the blonde-haired Michaela Kirk facing up. There's that skip in the middle, left arm round the wicket, and starts it off with a wide.
Slight change, looking to come around the wicket now with the left arm action. But an excellent stop by Winfield with that ball going quite far down the leg side.
Left arm round the wicket again. Just worked into the covers, played into the ground and fielded out there by extra cover. They're just coming back for a little mothers' meeting in the middle of the two of them. Josie Groves, you just can't take the smile off her face, can you?
No, and she's the exact same in training. She's the exact same around the camp. You always know you're going to get a smile with her.
Well, she's just clubbed that into the leg side and it's plugged at square leg, and they'll come through for 1 run. 1 more to the total, 109 for 6. Slater again around the wicket, and that's going to be another wide down the leg side, and that could well race to the boundary as well. Fielder putting in the yards, can't catch up with it, and that is salt in the wounds, that.
It's another teaser just trickling along the boundary. We've seen one go either end that side. But runs that Blaze are not going to be complaining about.
Yeah, runs is runs, isn't it?
Correct, correct. Sometimes it doesn't matter how they come.
I think that sometimes when it comes off the bat, you know, if it's a really dodgy looking 4. When you look at the scorecard later, it just says 4.
Unfortunately now everything is videoed, so it's
that
not
is
like
also
that
an
anymore.
issue. Maybe not my club. Nice noise, nicely played, deep backward of square, races to the boundary. That's another 4 to the total.
Really well picked up there by Michaela Kirk. We've seen that a couple of Slater's balls have slid down the leg side, but that one just picked up off the hip, going right behind square leg and picking up a really well needed 4 runs there.
So 118 on the scoreboard and still 2.5 overs to come. This is what they want at the end of their innings. We saw it the other day. The sort of lower end of the batting lineup really came to the fore for the Blaze. And today it's been a sort of all-round performance. Everyone's put in a bit of something. As Slater's in again, and that's hoiked up in the air into the leg side. Fielder takes the catch. Has she touched the boundary rope? Well, it's Grace Hall out there at deep square, and the Diamonds are celebrating, so I think it's a clean catch.
I had my arms up looking at the 6 then, and then that is a fantastic catch.
Well, let's see that one again. She gave herself room, hoiked it into the leg side. It's a great diving effort in the end, and I think she's done well to keep her feet off the boundary rope. If her feet were 2 sizes bigger, we'd be in real trouble. The umpire's just having a little discussion over this. Well, Michaela Kirk doesn't want to go. Like a child at a party, even with a party bag. Your mum can't make you leave just yet. We've got to check something first. But I think that is the end of her batting today. So she goes for 9 from 8. Well caught out on the boundary by the youngster Grace Hall.
Michaela Kirk looking to take on the boundary, looking like it had enough, but Grace Hall doing just enough work to get around and, more importantly, keep her feet inside the boundary rope. But that does bring Kirsty Gordon into play. Skipper of the Blaze has done a tremendous few stints with the bat this season, and I'm sure she'll be looking to put another one on tonight.
Yeah, I don't think you would mind seeing this actually as a Blaze fan, a Blaze player. Just over 2 overs still to come, and it sort of gives Kirsty Gordon the chance to really just free up her arms and just be destructive at the close of this innings as we come towards the end of it. We saw what she could do just on Saturday, that partnership, and she looks to hoik it first delivery, and she's off the mark with 1 as deep square comes round and cuts it off, and it's 1 more to the total. 119 for 7.
Yeah, we saw a fantastic partnership on the weekend between herself and Lucy Hyam at the back end of the innings that really brought Blaze up to a score that they felt they could defend against Vipers, which they did.
Josie Groves on strike, 18 to her name. That's again wide down the leg side. Not taken cleanly by Lauren Winfield Hill, but no damage done. And Slater has just struggled a little bit with these wides. Yes, she's picked up the wicket in this over, but that line is evading her somewhat today, and that's just worked off the hip to the 45 by Josie Groves, and they pick up 1 more, and that keeps Groves on strike at the end of the 18th. So 18 overs gone, 121 for 7.
Yeah, Groves doing the same as last over, just picking up the single off the last ball of the over, looking to keep that strike as the in batter. currently 19 off 12 balls, so striking at well above 100 there. We always talk about can we have a set batter in at the end to look to really accelerate the end of the innings, and hopefully Josie Groves will be able to do that, and additionally add to her boundary tally. We saw one monster 6 over mid-wicket, and right now she is going to be hitting towards the shorter leg side boundary that I'm sure she'll be looking to take full advantage of.
It is quite stark, the discrepancy between the boundary sizes, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got one significantly shorter, one slightly longer. And when you go into planning meetings around analysis of other teams, it's something you take into consideration.
So Grace Hall from the Radcliffe Road end, that slingy action, and that is swatted back past the bowler. And there is a fielder, Erin Burns, out at long on, does the fielding, long off. Apologies. Now, I think I need to clean the window in front of me because I keep thinking it's raining. There's a few splodges on the window. I was about to go, oh, it's raining, but I'm just getting carried away. As Grace Hall is in again, right arm over, and that's completely done Josie Groves. It's sort of gone through everything. It's gone through Groves, it's missed the wicket, and it's gone through Lauren Winfield Hill, and they've scampered through for one. Oh, Grace Hall, she's gone for 17. This is her final over, bowling what they call the crucial 19th over. And that's just weighted by Josie Groves. Hit uppishly, and again Erin Burns comes around and does the fielding at long off.
Yeah, we always talk about this over and what sets up the last. You know, is it going to be one where the batters feel on top, or are the bowlers going to feel like they've put a bit of pressure back on them? At the moment, just ticking along with singles.
Sounds like my dating life. And that's hoiked in the air. Fielder comes around, takes the catch at deep mid-wicket. She fumbles it, but it's gone. She's gone. And that is the end of Kirsty Gordon. She goes for one. Leah Dobson, she had a bit of a juggle, get her in the circus, but in the end it was safe.
Yeah, Kirsty just looking to hit over mid-wicket. Leah Dobson making good yards, getting around to it. Small juggle. Yeah, 1 or 2 touches. And then gathers it into the breadbasket eventually. But after a couple of drop catches throughout the first few overs, Diamonds have looked to hold on to their catches since. But no complaints after the last game. It does bring Lucy Hyam to the crease. And after the innings we saw from her on the weekend, I'm sure she'll be planning to build another partnership here again. Not only a boundary striker from the weekend, but also a very proficient runner between the wickets. We can see a bit of a field change. So originally they had cover mid-wicket, long on and long off back. To Hyam, though, they've brought up cover and they have put out square leg, fine leg, mid-wicket and a long on.
That's chipped up in the air. It's going to land safe. Of Leah Dobson out at deep mid-wicket.
Lucy Hyam just getting off the mark straight away there. Getting the in-batter Josie Groves back on strike.
And that's swatted back, and she's done well there. Hall to get a hand on it and slow it down. And the fielder again, Bess Heath, comes in from long on.
She's done it again. She
Cleans
nicked
it
a
up.
single off the last ball of the over.
Josie Groves loves last ball singles. She just loves the strike. So we're coming into the final over of this Blaze innings. They were put into bat when Holly Armitage called correctly and decided that the Diamonds, the away side, wanted to have a bowl first. Score with just an over to come. 126 for 8. Josie Groves going along nicely. 22 from 15 for her. Now in the company of Lucy Hyam.
And I don't think this is a shock here. Erin Burns taking the last over, picking up 3 wickets already, only going at 5s. She's been doing really well for them this evening, hasn't she?
Erin Burns just loves taking wickets. 3 wickets for her, 3 wickets for Katie Levick today. So who will have bragging rights at the end of this? And one more over to come from Burns in that hat. Always wears a hat to bowl. Right arm over. And Josie Groves looks to sweep into the leg side. Lauren Winfield-Hill liked it, but the fielder comes around at 45 and cuts it off. And they come through for just 1. Lucy Hyam taking guard. Nice black grip on that bat to coordinate nicely with her kit. And Burns is in, right arm over. Use of the feet, and that is given a full whack out to deep mid-wicket, and a couple of bounces and the fielder cuts it off. And it made a mighty fine noise off the bat for just 1 run.
Yeah, Lucy Hyam striking the ball well after last game and has come into this game and continued to do the same.
4 to come from Erin Burns, and Groves just digs that one out. Picks out the fielder. Deep mid-wicket again.
Fair play, Em Marlowe has been very, very busy this evening, out on that leg side boundary, patrolling it all night.
It's quite lonely though. Burns, right arm over, reverse sweep from Lucy Hyam, and it evades the fielder, and that's going to race away for another 4.
Fantastic reverse sweep by Lucy Hyam. We saw Catherine Bryce and Marie Kelly bring one out earlier on in their innings, and Lucy Hyam joins the party with them.
Is this something Blaze have just been working on in training, and everyone's gone, all right, coach Chris Guest, we're all going to show you we were listening?
Hey, when you've got point and you know, 40, well, you got point and you got a short third in. Once you pass them, it's a 4, isn't it? But we know Lucy Hyam's a very proficient sweeper on both sides of the wicket and taking full advantage there.
Right, 2 deliveries, 2 legitimate deliveries remaining. 138, 33 for 8. And goes for the sweep, and it's wide down the leg side. Fielders giving chase, and they've done well to run 2. Josie Groves looking to come back for a 3rd. I think she just wants to be on strike.
And if you've hit the ball as well as she has this evening, you're going to want to be on strike, aren't you?
So Hyam surveys her field and takes guard again. And she, good use of the feet, and that's a flighted delivery, dug out. And it's straight down the throat of Holly Armitage, extra cover.
Yeah, Lucy just looking to give herself a bit of room there. Erin Burns has obviously seen her, gone wide, and unfortunately just chipped to Holly Armitage, who is not going to drop those.
Well, she had to go for it and just picked out a very safe pair of hands. The Diamonds captain. But you wouldn't mind too much with just 2 more deliveries to come. But Erin Burns, it's another wicket for her.
And that brings to the crease Grace Ballinger. Bringing in a little bit of carnage with the left-hander. Just giving the captain a little bit more to think about there, having to swap the fields around.
Right, so just coming, the 1 delivery to come, the left-hander faces up. What can she do? Well, she looks to give herself room, and Erin Burns, with that, has a 5-fer. That's the 5th wicket for Erin Burns today. She ends with 2 in 2. Ballinger looked to shuffle down the wicket, and she's stumped by Lauren Winfield-Hill, who's not had a lot to do today, but what a day it's been for that Aussie. She's been around lots of different clubs all around the world, and she shows her class wherever she goes, whatever shirt she's wearing. She just bamboozles batters. A little bit of a laugh there from Grace Ballinger as she heads off, but 5 for 25 is what Erin Burns finishes up with at the end of 20 overs. Well, they were all out in the end, the Blaze, but 136 is what they've put on the board. But Erin Burns, what a day she's had.
Oh, the amount of pressure that she's been able to put on the On the batting side, not only with the lack of boundaries, but consistently picking up wickets throughout her spell, she's had a phenomenal day and really led from the front. We just saw Diamonds there just having a little bit of a team talk before heading off the pitch. I'm sure some very wise words from Holly Armitage before they start their chase of 137 as the target. Blaze already out and about, getting ready for their fielding stint, but what a fantastic day she's had.
Yeah, it was all about Erin Burns in the end. Katie Levick at one point looked like she was going to try and steal the show. But in the end, it belonged to the Aussie, as it so often does in cricket. Sadly, days seem to belong to Aussies far more often than I like to think. But, so that is the story of the day, is that the Blaze, they managed 136 in their 20 overs here at Trent Bridge, playing in this Charlotte Edwards Cup against the Northern Diamonds. Obviously, Diamonds lost their first game of the tournament, Blaze beating defending champions Vipers, so wanting to continue that kind of momentum, that form. 136, they will feel confident in defending this, but we will just have to wait and see. So we're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back for the chase in just a few minutes. It was the 5 wickets from Aaron Burns that really stole the show today. Well, what can the Diamonds do with the bat? They obviously won the toss and elected to have a bowl first. 136. How do you feel about that one?
Well, I think Blaze will go out feeling significantly better than they did on Saturday. A few more runs to defend under their belt. I think we've seen how Diamonds controlled that middle phase, lack of boundaries, looking to really spread the field and protect that leg side boundary. And I'm sure Blaze will take a lot of confidence from how Diamonds got themselves back into the game, and hopefully they can continue to do the same. But after a really good stint by Josie Groves at the end, getting them up to that 136 mark, I'm sure Kirsty Gordon will be rallying the squad together and in a really positive mind frame to say, let's go and win our second game.
Well, Nadine de Klerk is going to be opening up proceedings with the ball.
Very positive field set with a slip in. 2 fielders out at third and square leg. Looking to find that early breakthrough. We know Winfield Hill is going to be a big wicket in that.
With those snazzy boots on. So I want to go back to the snazzy boot thing. So you can get any shoe basically made into a spike. Is this what you're saying?
Correct. So there's a brilliant guy that I've gone to called the Shoe Sheriff, and anytime I take anytime I take a pair of tennis shoes, he'll go almost like they sand down the bottoms, put a bit of like new rubber on it, and with some spikes inside.
Do you know what else you can do it with? I learnt recently. Roller skates. I know somebody who got a pair of Converse made into roller skates. Well, Nadine de Klerk is not wearing roller skates. She kicks off proceedings with the ball, and that's crunched through the covers. First ball, Lauren Winfield Hill opens up with a boundary.
Just Nadine going slightly too full there. Winfield Hill into the ball and straight through cover for 4. A start that the Blaze won't want, but the Diamonds will take. Really, rollerblades?
Yes. So you can basically just get them made with any kind of wheels on the bottom. I can't imagine they'd be very supportive if you're wearing, but I sound very middle-aged. And just she's set off there, and there was a refusal at the first fence by Nadine de Klerk, who goes back and starts again. Right arm over, and that's just found the outside edge of Winfield Hill, looking to drive, and thought about coming through for an overthrow, but in the end decided against it.
I love this, a bit of keepers union in the slip cordons. You got Sarah Bryce in with the gloves, and then Ella Claridge at first slip. Things we love to see.
You're almost a keeper. We'll put you really close to the keeper so you feel at home. And de Klerk is in again, and that's Fuller, and that's just driven up to mid-on, and there's no run.
Yeah, Sarah Bryce looking to take the positive approach, starting back and then coming straight up to the stumps, looking to keep Winfield Hill in her crease. Yeah, I can't imagine Converse being the most supportive for roller skates. It depends, are they the high tops or the lower
The high
ones?
top ones,
Okay.
yeah. Still don't think very supportive. And that's just defended on the back foot by Winfield Hill. Again, no run.
After the 4 off the first ball, really looked to apply the pressure, building up with a few dots after that.
Hear a few voices out there in the crowd enjoying their Thursday evening at the cricket.
Where else would you rather be on a Thursday evening?
Well, this is true. I could also do with it being about 10-15 degrees warmer. And that's just flicked away off the hip into the leg side by Winfield Hill. They run the first hard, and it's well fielded out on the boundary, and they come back for 2.
Excellent work by Michaela Kirk. We know how good of a boundary fielder she is, and she's done the hard yards there, getting around, flicking the ball back in for Lucy Hyman to collect and throw straight back into the keeper. We always talk about hunting in herds and going together and making sure that 2 of us go to the ball, and they've done that as an excellent example right there, which I'm sure the fielding coach John Bateson will be very happy to see.
And de Klerk closing out the first over. It's just played off the back foot, well fielded, just backward point by Josie Groves, and there's no run off the final delivery. So 1 over gone, 6 coming from it. You saying hunting in herds? You sounded so Welsh. Because in my head, I hear hunting in packs and hunting in herds.
I'm getting the Welshness to come out a little bit there, aren't I? Yeah, I do get the mick taken a little bit by a couple of Welsh slang words that come in and out, and yeah, you don't find too many Welsh hanging around the Midlands either, so they do come in rarities. But although 6 off the first over, really positive fielding start by the Blaze, an excellent stop by Michaela Kirk, and Josie Groves in at point there, setting the standards nice and high. And the second over sees the introduction of Grace Ballinger.
Yeah, really exciting young talent, Grace Ballinger. She was great in the 100 last year as well for the Northern Superchargers.
Well, last game showed her 50th cap come up for the Blaze, so been here from Lightning through to the new era of Blaze. And she's always continued to be a proper fierce competitor. Loves taking wickets, loves having the responsibility of the new ball.
Right, Sarah Bryce moving back. We've still got that slip in. Just teasing the edge for Leah Dobson, who's facing up for the first time today. And that's just dug out. And Ballinger looks to stick out a hefty boot and then decides against it. Doesn't really want a broken toe.
No, Marie Kelly then doing the fielding behind her. Lovely cricket all round. Lovely straight shot. Great ball. Just nice cricket.
Just nice cricket. And that's all we want to see. It's not all about the big sixes. Ballinger in again. She's got quite a noticeable run up, and that's struck on the pad. She's even got a coordinated orange scrunchie, the left armour.
So maybe if Winfield had some blue boots, then we'd like the coordination.
Yeah, I'd be here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, here for that. Maybe some Swarovski diamonds on there.
Proper bling it out then.
Proper bling it out. Bling boots. That's what we're here for.
I wouldn't like to see how expensive they are.
Ooh. Yeah, we're not quite in IPL territory. Ballinger in again. And that's dug out, hoiked back over the bowler's head. And Marie Kelly gives chase and does the fielding out at the long on boundary.
Leah Dobson looking to go aerial there, but just as we saw in the first innings, just plugging in the ground ever so slightly, potentially after a few days of heavy rain, but definitely coming out and showing her intent from the get-go.
She's got this action that really sticks out, and I can't think of the word. That's in again, and that's just worked into the leg side by Dobson. He'll pick up one, fielded out there by Josie Groves. I'm trying to think of the word when something is very obviously someone's run. You know, it's
unique.
Not iconic, not unique. There's the word, and it's just on the tip of my tongue, and I'm going to blame the fact that it's late in the evening and I can't think of my words. My mum bought me a thesaurus for my birthday last year. That's how lame my life is. I need it because I need to look up a word. I don't carry it around with me because there's such a thing as the internet. Ballinger in again, left arm over, and that's a lovely looking cover drive from Lauren Winfield Hill, but it's along the ground to the fielder at cover, and there's again no run.
We've seen with Winfield coming on strike has just brought Sarah Bryce back up to the stumps, so it looks like a plan here of trying to keep Winfield in her crease. Also shows the class of Sarah Bryce being able to stand up to the new ball against Grace Ballinger.
Yeah, rather her than me, thank you. Yeah, she sort of holds the ball in both hands, both arms straight, and that's again, it's almost copy and pasted the shot before, along the ground, cover drive. Picks out the fielder at cover, and that's the end of the over. Just 3 coming from it. Good start this from Grace Ballinger. 2 overs down, Northern Diamonds, 9 without loss.
Yeah, fantastic start by the Blaze. Building up the dots, lack of boundaries, and looking to put the pressure straight on the Northern Diamonds. But we know what a powerhouse they've got in a batting lineup, and it'll be important to keep this pressure going. But it looks like a similar tactic has been taken in regards to switching up the bowling, because it looks like Kirsty Gordon is going to be bringing herself on for her first over.
Yeah, well, they saw it worked for the Diamonds, mixing it up. And Captain Kirsty just directing traffic as she takes the ball at the Radcliffe Road end. Dobson faces up, and that's just played straight back up towards the bowler, who fields off her own bowling, and there's no run. Left arm round the wicket, and that's just worked into the leg side again by Leah Dobson. And it's another dot.
Very tidy start here by Kirsty Gordon, just looking to carry on that string of dots from the last over.
And she's struck on the pad, and Sarah Bryce likes it, Kirsty Gordon sort of likes it, and the umpire is completely unmoved.
It's worth a try, isn't it?
You don't ask, you don't get.
Correct. But that's 3 dot balls in a row now.
Left arm again round the wicket. She looks to hoik into the leg side. Struck on the pad, and the umpire's finger goes up. And the Blaze have the breakthrough. Dobson, she has to go for 3. It's the captain, Kirsty Gordon, who makes the breakthrough.
Yeah, Kirsty Gordon looking to carry on her fantastic bowling form. Looking to bowl nice and straight, bring the stumps in play. Dobson looks to sweep and is struck on the back leg, which brings Diamonds their first wicket. But that does bring the introduction of the skipper in Holly Armitage to the crease.
Well, we know that she can hit a long ball, Captain Holly Armitage. Joining Lauren Winfield-Hill out in the middle. That is quite some firepower with the bat, these two.
That is a very experienced partnership, but also a very, very good partnership in a lot of good performances by these two over the years. But I'm sure Kirsty, after that first wicket, is going to be here for the fight and in for the party, and hopefully will add to her tally throughout the night.
In for the party? Where was my invite?
We've got a bit of music playing.
Yeah, you know what?
The lights are on.
It's a bit of a bop. I'm having a bop. Gordon in again, and Armitage plays off the back foot. Struck nicely, but fielded by Gordon in her follow through, and she cuts it off. And again, no run. Full toss. Given the treatment, straight back over the bowler's head. And that's such a shame, because it was a really tidy over. She was almost on for a wicket maiden there. Kirsty Gordon, it's just slipped out of her hand, and Holly Armitage going to eat that up all day long. That closes out the 13th. Third over, 13 for 1, the Northern Diamonds.
Yeah, a little bit of a release boundary for Diamonds in there. We know when we see the class of these two at the crease, anything that's either too full or a full toss is going to be put away, and I'm sure that'll settle a couple of nerves in the Diamonds camp after a very, very good over by Kirsty Gordon. But we are seeing that Grace Ballinger is continuing for her second over from the pavilion end. After bowling her over, Kirsty Gordon is already back talking to her bowlers and man in the field ready.
I think I found at least a word that goes with what I'm trying to say. Is really distinctive.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah,
We're going distinct.
correct.
She's got this distinctive action. She sort of holds the ball down in front of her, almost 2 arms straight, holding the ball in both hands at the beginning of her run-up, and then has this bit of a skip and then brings it up into her action. It's different. She tosses the ball up to herself, and there she is. That stutter at the beginning. And then the ball into her left hand, left arm over. And that's just played along the ground to point by Lauren Winfield-Hill, and there's no run. She rehearses the shot and has a bit of a chat to Sarah Bryce.
These players play each other so much on the circuit. I'm sure by the end of the season they're absolutely sick of seeing each other.
Must get a bit like that. You'll be like that by the end of today with me, but then we'll see her again. 40 overs is enough, thanks. Ballinger in again. That ponytail swinging with the orange scrunchie, and that's hoiked back over her head, and that will be 4.
Yeah, dismissive shot there by Winfield-Hill. Just pitched up and looking to free her arms and hit over mid-on. With a boundary hit for the last over, looking to counter, and that is a fantastic strike by Winfield-Hill. I mean, if I see you again, it means they've told me I've done a good job, so I'll take the confidence there.
I'll take it too. If we're both back, we'll be like, we were all right. It was okay. It wasn't just a cold night on cold Thursday night in Nottingham. Ballinger in again. And that's much tighter line. Good recovery. And a little bit of a misfield there at extra cover. And they'll do well to come through for one. Take advantage of that. They're taking every run they can, this pair.
We saw fantastic running by the Blaze in the first innings, and Diamonds are looking to continue the same. Lucy Heim just with a stop there. Stop the boundary, just trickle through, which allowed the batters to get through for a single.
Armitage chomping away on some chewing gum. Just can't play sport with chewing gum in. It's just not a thing.
I can't do it. I get a bit distracted, but I can appreciate lots of players can do it.
Ballinger left arm over. Full dug out by Armitage. And Point comes round, does the fielding. And there's no run. No, the problem is, chewing gum loses its flavour so quickly that you then just feel like you're chewing blue tack after a while, and you can't just spit it out in the middle of the field or shove it behind your ear or something.
No, I suppose you hope that you get a wicket for then the people who are carrying drinks on to bring almost a fresh pack out.
Do they bring chewing gum out to the middle? Is that a thing?
I mean, I'm sure if a player asked for some chewing gum, you'd bring it out. They ask for bars, sweets, drinks. I'm sure if they asked for chewing gum, we'd bring it out for them.
What if you asked for, like, bubble gum and you're just out there blowing bubbles in the middle?
If they're taking wickets and scoring runs, I don't think we're going to complain.
This is true. Right, Ballinger in. And that's struck on the pad. Sarah Bryce really likes it. A few voices. And there's a head shake to my right.
Potentially just going down. Looked especially coming around over the wicket from the left-hander. But as we said previously, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Now, I don't know what it is, but I always think Sarah Bryce's gloves, her keeping gloves, look huge. Do you get what I mean? I think it's the contrast of the white to the orange and the black. It just looks like she's wearing the most enormous bucket gloves. As Ballinger races in again, and that's just worked off the hip to the 45. And that's going to race to the boundary. And that's Ballinger, you can see there, not amused by that one. It's a 4 to close out the over. Well, in the end, 9 coming from it. The end of 4 overs, Northern Diamonds 22 for 1.
Yeah, I get what you mean by the gloves, but I think as a wicketkeeper, you want them to be slightly bigger. So you want a bigger surface area to catch the ball in, but also you'll obviously see when they have to chase after a ball, you want to be able to flick that glove off. If it's too tight, you're not be able to flick it. But you can see a very big contrast of the black trousers and the white gloves. Potentially investing in a pair of black gloves.
I do like the black glove.
Do you?
I like a black.
I've got to say, I'm a bit of a purist, and I do like white. Yeah.
I just don't really like the white, the contrasting with the orange and the white here. But I don't know what else they're going to do. Go yellow to coordinate with the little collar bit.
Like almost like some Aussie gloves when like.
Oh no, I don't want it. I don't want it Australian. Thanks.
There we go.
No.
You put
pass on that one. Right, de Klerk from the Radcliffe Road end. And that's just worked into the leg side by Lauren Winfield Hill. They'll come through for 1. The fielder comes in off the boundary. Score moves on to 23 for 1. Just the 1 wicket to fall so far. And that was opener Leah Dobson, went LBW to Kirsty Gordon. Score at the time 9 for 1. So nice partnership building between two, well, veterans of the game, aren't they? They've been around a while, these two. They know this game. That's going to be called wide down the leg side.
Yeah, when you've got the experience of Winfield Hill and Armitage in your team, not only is it a massive positive for the team, but also the young individuals that you're hoping to bring up in and around, and they can learn off two of the best who have played at this standard for many years, and hopefully many more to come.
De Klerk in again, and that's struck on the pad. And again, Sarah Bryce really likes it. They appeal to the umpire, who just sets off and then calls it. He calls the leg by. And they come through for 1.
Interestingly enough, after a really good opening over from Kirsty, she has taken herself off and brought Nadine back on. So definitely looking to keep switching up, especially from the end that we are, which is the media centre end.
De Klerk right arm over with those white thermal sleeves, and that's bisected the two fielders at backward point, and that's going to hit the boundary as well. 4 more to the total.
Those two fielders at almost like a very, very backward point and then a point very close together, and she has just pierced the gap to absolute perfection there.
Now, I always have to be careful as they bisected, because sometimes you hear people say, is dissected the two fields? I mean, that's the last thing you need out in the middle, is it? We don't need any dissections, thank you.
Absolutely not. I am checking my English right now, and
yeah, and then sometimes
hard.
the more you think about it, the more you start questioning yourself. And de Klerk in again. That's just worked off the hip to square leg by Lauren Winfield Hill. She moves on to 17. A bit of a dodgy throw, but well backed up. She moves on to 17. Score moves on to 30 for 1. Still inside the power play.
Yeah, that run rate required in the last over was up around 7.5. They've managed to bring it back below 7 now. So that boundary off early in the over has come to some good use.
Lovely straight drive by Holly Armitage. Well fielded in the end. Fielder at mid-on does well. Diving stop.
Great dive there by Teresa Graves. Often finds herself at mid-on and mid-off and has taken some tremendous catches this season and also some phenomenal diving efforts.
Floodlights very much taken over here.
How good is it to see women's cricket under floodlights at domestic level? We see it so often at the 100 and international, but to see it at domestic level is fantastic.
Oh, well weighted, and that's given quite some welly, and it races to the square leg boundary. Umpire takes evasive action, gets a foot out of the way because that was going to be a shattered ankle.
That 4 hit mighty hard by Winfield Hill. Just looks to pull into the leg side in that short boundary where mid-wicket and fine leg did not have much of a chance there. And that is a boundary that they will be really pleased about. Second one in the over against de Klerk.
Well, end of 5 overs. Diamonds 35 for 1, going a lot. Oh, exactly 7 and over. Well, Lauren Winfield Hill had some kind of problem with the spike, but I think it's been fixed there. And it looks like we're going to have a change in bowling, and Catherine Bryce has been given the ball from the Stuart Broad end.
Fantastic bit of experience coming on, not only from international with Scotland, but also in the IPL.
Yeah, another team in orange. She must get quite bored of wearing all this orange kit. Catherine Bryce. Although Scotland, I'm still wondering if they're going to get the delightful pink kit as she's in. That's a dot ball to start things off. Full straight, just kept out by Holly Armitage, and the fielder comes in from extra cover, and there's no run.
Yeah, now we're seeing even like the Netherlands World Cup kit, bit of a retro style, orange, but very, very, very nice.
Bryce in again, right arm over, and that's weighted on the back foot and played on the bounce to cover. Again, no run. I like a retro kit. Yeah, I'm quite a fan of England's new ODI kit. It's sort of the cornflower blue kind of colour, but I'm also not a fan of what my bank account would say if I started buying it. So I just look at it from afar. As Bryce is in, it's given a bit more flight, and that's hoiked back, and it's just landed short of Marie Kelly there at mid-on.
Fantastic effort by Marie Kelly there. Definitely dropping short, but the fact she's gone for it and stopped any runs getting through her, a very, very good dot ball. Sometimes you go for them and they just get underneath you and carry on going away, but she's done a fantastic job there in getting the dot ball.
Just worked into the offside by Armitage. Again, no run. Really tidy start this from Catherine Bryce. We'd expect no less.
4 dots coming off the over so far. As a team in the field now, you're hoping for some sort of release shot or some sort of pressure shot to come to lead to the wicket. But a very, very tidy over nonetheless.
Bryce in again. And that's been given some welly, and that has bisected the two fielders. Marie Kelly just gives it chase from her position at mid-on, and that's broken the shackles on the over.
Yeah, we've just seen Kirsty Gordon almost tucked down to the floor a little bit, thinking it was a chance that they'd brought the pressure, but it's just gotten through. and past Lucy Hyam at mid-wicket there. A well-needed boundary. I think the Diamonds will be thinking at that point.
Yeah, that run rate just pushing up again. And Bryce in to close out the over. Slower delivery, played up to cover, and there's no run. Well, just the one boundary coming off the over, just the 4. Run rate required pushes back up to 7. 6 overs gone, 39 for 1. Just the wicket to fall, that of Leah Dobson. Seems a long time ago she went.
It does. It feels like these guys have really, really built a partnership already. That over by Catherine Bryce just ticking that run rate back up to 7 with 5 dot balls and the 1 boundary coming off it. After seeing Nadine de Klerk from this end, we now see the return of Kirsty Gordon coming back from her first over, getting 1 wicket and just 1 boundary off it.
Yeah, I like this decision from the captain. They need to break this partnership. You don't want these two to really get firing.
With the end of the power play now, we've seen 4 fielders go out straight away, looking to protect that leg side boundary and a long off.
Gordon left arm over, and it's just played off the back foot. And there's a misfield, and they're going to come through for 1, take advantage of that. The fielder apologises to her captain. They're at mid-on, sort of short mid-on.
Small change in the field before she runs for her next ball. Both mid-off and mid-on coming up and cover going out.
Gordon coming round the wicket, and that's the reverse paddle sweep from Armitage. Nice placement. Fielder gives chase. Does well to cut it off.
Lovely little tuck shot there. Just fine enough getting past the point fielder.
Well, they're sort of taking risks against Gordon here, having to be innovative because they know that her first over obviously was so economical, took that wicket, so they're looking to do something else, and they're doing it again, gone for the reverse sweep. Fielder comes around, cuts it off this time.
Another fantastic dive by Teresa Graves there again, really getting stuck into the game. I suppose after that Catherine Bryce over where we saw 5 dots, probably targeting this over as one they need to look to get above, look at the run rate above 6 or 7 and over off Kirsty Gordon.
Gordon in again, left arm over, and that's solid in defence off the back foot from Lauren Winfield Hill.
Yeah, just looking to give herself a little bit of room there, but Gordon just following her.
Got quite a trudge walk, hasn't she, back to her mark, Kirsty Gordon. We'd have a good theme tune to it in a cartoon, and that's just worked into the leg side on the sweep from Winfield Hill, but cut off. And it's just the 1 run.
Yeah, didn't get hold of that as nicely as she'd like to. If she'd got the full, then she was potentially looking at a boundary there. Just seeing Lucy Hyam getting warmed up on the boundary over there as well, so potentially another spin option coming into the attack.
Gordon round the wicket to Armitage, who just dead bats that, and they scamper through for 1 run. There's good running in the end. So 6 coming off the over from Gordon. So at the end of 7, Northern Diamonds 45 for 1.
Really important run coming off that last over, making sure they're getting a runner ball off and over, but a no boundary off it. And after seeing the warm-up, we are now seeing the introduction of Lucy Hyam.
I always wonder that when someone starts warming up, is it sort of, hey captain, look at me, look, I'm swinging my arms, I'm ready, or sometimes I think maybe they are just cold.
I think it could be a bit of both. You can get the little wave from the captain, bit subtly like, yeah, you're coming on for a bowl, but I can imagine a lot of bowlers will try and make some, they're not very subtle hints, let's
They're
be
doing
honest.
sort of star jumps, you know, bit of night fever.
Anything that gets the captain attention
Yeah,
to show, I want to come on and
big
bowl.
fish, little fish cardboard box, I thought you were going for there.
Maybe YMCA maybe.
Oh yeah. Right arm over, quicker delivery, and that's swept away. Just backward of square, and the fielder comes around. Josie Groves cuts it off, and Holly Armitage looks to turn and come back for the second, and Winfield Hill not actually even looking in her direction.
Slight drag down there, probably gotten away with that, but Josie Groves does excellent work on the boundary, looking to keep that to a 1. Winfield Hill just taking her mark on off stick against the off spinner.
squats down. And that's flicked away into the leg side. Josie Groves again cuts it off before the boundary, and they'll add another one to the total.
Really well watched off those practice wickets. We said earlier that sometimes they can just take a little bit of a hit and spin, but she's watched that really well right into her. You could see her give a little bit of a look just to Nadine de Klerk there as she's fielded it as well.
Hyam in again, right arm over. And waited on that by Holly Armitage, and picks out Groves again.
She's like a magnet to the ball at the moment, isn't she?
She is, isn't she? It was her and Bess Heath today.
3 balls, all to Josie Groves for 1 at deep square leg.
You'd just be sitting down if you're any other fielder now. Just have a little sit down. And again, along the ground to Josie Groves, and there's 1 run. And for those of you watching on a live stream, this is happening. It's not just stuck and replaying the same ball over and over again.
When you hear the shout from the bowler, you're in the game. Josie Groves is definitely in the game right now.
Yeah, Josie Groves is earning her keep today. And that's hoiked up in the air to deep mid-wicket. Josie Groves comes around, cuts it off. The tumbling dive. And they scamper back for a second.
Is it going to be 6 in a row to Josie Groves?
Oh, I'll be really disappointed if it's not. She'll just be sat there thinking, can the ball just please leave me alone for like 2 seconds? Armitage faces up, gives herself room, and that's just flicked over the head of Sarah Bryce. And Ballinger comes around, cleans up, and they come through for 1 run. So 1 to close out the over. At the end of 8 overs, Northern Diamonds 52 for 1. Lauren Winfield Hill 19 from the 12 she's faced so far, out there alongside her captain Holly Armitage. And if you look at those wiggly worms, just ahead of where the Blaze were at this point, and the 1 less wicket to fall.
We can see the captain, Kirsty Gordon, looking to continue now. 2 very tidy overs, both going for a 6 and a 7. And just out the window, we've just seen Josie Grove look to warm up an arm, maybe given a hint, or maybe that's what's going to be next coming on.
Well, maybe Josie Grove's arm just aches from all that fielding she's just had to do. So 52 for 1, 8 overs down. Gordon in from the Radcliffe Road end, left arm round the wicket. Holly Armitage gives herself room and absolutely launches it over the mid-wicket boundary for 6.
What a strike that is from Holly Armitage, just back of a length of Kirsty Gordon, looking to get deep in her crease and swat away over mid-wicket on the leg side.
Yes, Beyonce's "This Ain't Texas" reverberates around the ground. Well, that's almost gone to Texas, that shot. Gordon in again, left arm round. Armitage solid in defence, and it's dot ball.
Blaze girls definitely like that when you can hear a bit of noise following a 6 dot ball next ball. That's what you like to see, a good response from the bowler.
Goes for the reverse. Holly Armitage struck on the pad, and the finger goes up. And captain gets the captain. Kirsty Gordon, she has her 2nd of the night, her 2nd LBW, and that is just the breakthrough the Blaze needed. A 6, a dot, a wicket.
You can see by the celebration from the captain there, that's exactly how much that wicket means. Holly Armitage just looking for another paddle, missing out and striking her on the back of the pad. And yes, that is definitely going to be clattering into the stumps. But as we can see, a really, really important wicket. Armitage and Winfield with a very important partnership there, but that does bring to the crease Erin Burns. Already had a phenomenal day with the ball, taking a fifer in the first innings, and I'm sure she'll be looking for her confidence to continue here. But Gordon, 2 for 16 so far. And as we saw, as the Diamonds were putting a bit more pressure back onto the Blaze, that wicket has just evened it out ever so slightly. Run rate still above 6s. Are we in for another tight game?
Well, who knows? Erin Burns, she's already had a night of it with the ball. So can she do it with the bat as well? Lauren Winfield-Hill still out there in the middle, and we know how destructive she can be. 25 from 20 for her, but it's the Aussie facing up to the captain, who already has 2 wickets, and that's just played into the ground by Burns, and there's no run. You can hear those Blaze voices just getting up a bit now. They know they've broken that very dangerous partnership.
Yeah, they always bring the energy, always nice and loud.
Gordon again round the wicket. That's just beaten the edge.
Excellent turn there.
Got a big stride out to that, Erin Burns. Pushed her hands out to it.
You can see Kirsty Gordon's just ticking along now, confidence from that wicket, and looking, as you see, she's just brought Nadine de Klerk at extra cover a bit tighter, a bit closer in.
Given a bit more flight, and not quite timed and dug out by Burns, but worked into the leg side, and she's off the mark. Yeah, and Gordon getting back to her mark very quickly there. End of 9 overs. Northern Diamonds 59 for 2. The wicket to fall in that, and 7 runs coming from it. Well, Kirsty Gordon, she has been the one with the ball for the Blaze today. 2 wickets to her, both LBW. And what that meant to her, you could just see it on her face, getting Holly Armitage. And we're going to continue with spin. Josie Grove, she's had a good night with the bat already today. And she's now got the ball in hand.
Yeah, Josie Groves, as previously mentioned, involved with England under-19 across the winter on their tour. Looking to impact the game with her leg spin. We saw 2 leg spinners from Northern Diamonds in Armitage and Dobson. She'll be looking to come in now and see if she can dismiss one of these 2 very good batters to get Blaze back into this game.
I think if there's a skill I'd really love to master in cricket, it would be leg spin. There's something about it. Good bit of pace, and that's just swept on the 45. And Ballinger does her best to try and cut, and it's well cut off on the boundary by Catherine Bryce in the end.
Excellent work by Catherine Bryce there, just getting past Grace Ballinger in the ring, but she's probably run a good 30 metres there with a full stretch dive, keeping it and saving 1 run as the batter's only come through for 3. Just waiting for a slight field change.
It's just found the edge of Winfield-Hill. She looks to come through for the run, but there's the fielder there. Just a fine leg, Grace Ballinger. And it picks her out, and she says, no run. Winfield-Hill squats down, shuffles forward, and looks to come down the pitch and take it on, but can only find the outside edge. And Josie Groves gets a couple of cheers from her team. She saw her coming. Again, squats down Winfield-Hill. Quick arm through the air, and that's played through the covers by Winfield-Hill off the back foot. Fielder comes in, cuts it off, and it's just the 1 run.
Still loud, still lots of energy up there. Blaze definitely feel like they're back into this game, especially after the dismissal of Holly Armitage.
And looks to sweep. It's signalled wide by the umpire. Josie Groves looks like she's just questioning.
I think we're going to have a stop in play because that has struck the keeper on the helmet. If you can see, the X mark comes out by the umpire, which means the physio has to run on and check once the ball hits the helmet. But I believe it was probably a bit more of a concern for Sarah Bryce than it was anything else. Here's the physio. We'll just come on, check to make sure they're happy with the structural integrity of the helmet, ask a couple of questions.
As long as it's not who's Prime Minister, because who even knows anymore? Or cares at the moment.
On a first aid course that I went on, they just said you've got to make sure you ask questions that you would know the answer to. But as we see the physio run off there and a smile from Sarah Bryce, we can see that she's absolutely fine. Ultimately, the precautions in the game that have been brought in, mandatory if you get struck on the helmet, you have to be checked by the physio, which is a really important rule. But that has just brought a slight hold to proceedings so far. but it does give Kirsty Gordon an opportunity to have a chat with her bowler and reaffirm the plans that she is going to try and execute going forward.
I think I needed a concussion test the other day. I walloped myself in the head with a dumbbell.
Oh, nice.
I'll come back to it in a minute. Josie Groves in, flighted delivery, swept. The fielder, Catherine Bryce, comes around, cuts it off at the boundary, and they look to come back for the second, but Winfield Hill sent back by Erin Burns. Yeah, so I went to do a dumbbell snatch, and I got a bit overexcited on the way back down, and tonked myself in the head, but it was in an exercise class, so loads of people around. I was too embarrassed to say anything, and it was proper Tom and Jerry lump that just went doing. That's given a bit more flight, use of the feet. And fielded by the bowler off her own bowling. Dot to close out the overs. At the end of 10 overs, 65 for 2 Northern Diamonds. Lauren Winfield Hill, she's still out there in the middle, 26 from 24 for her, alongside Erin Burns, who picked up 5 for with the ball, while she's on 5 from 5 with the bat.
Yes, as we've just seen come up on the big screen now, 72 runs required from 60 balls. Diamonds are well and truly still in this game. But the attack continues from Blaze with Grace Ballinger back into the bowling attack.
Yeah, change of ends for Grace Ballinger, this time coming from the Radcliffe Road end.
Tidy first 2 overs, going at 6s so far. She's always striving to get that wicket though.
Yeah, quite a fierce competitor, I always get the impression.
Oh, incredibly competitive, incredibly driven as she looks to run into this first ball.
Left arm over the wicket to Erin Burns, and that's full delivery, just left by Burns, and it's well stopped in the end by Sarah Bryce.
Yeah, always likes to be in the fight, getting given a bit of responsibility, wants to be the one to take that all-important wicket, which motivates her, which is a fantastic characteristic to have in a teammate.
There's that stutter at the beginning of her run up, and then the skip. And that's just beaten the edge as Burns looks to try and cut it away, and that's another dot ball. There's a wry smile from Grace Ballinger as she sort of trudges back to her mark.
Yeah, 2 dots to start her third over. Burns 5 off 7, so just still ticking, trying to build her innings.
Well, that rate pushing up to 7.45 now. Ballinger in again. Full delivery, just kept out by Erin Burns. And that's the Yorker from Grace Ballinger.
Very, very well executed Yorker. Something that we know is definitely in her armoury, that she can bring out when required. And she's definitely looking to build on these 3 dot balls she's already bowled so far. Diamonds really need a boundary at this point.
All right, 3 dots on the trot for Ballinger. And again, that execution of that Yorker earns itself applause from my right.
2 excellently executed Yorkers, you can't complain.
You can't.
Really, really piling on the pressure here.
Bumrah-esque.
Very, very. She'll take that as a massive compliment. She'll love that. No, fantastic so far by Grace Ballinger. We can see the plan, just looking to bowl these Yorkers, and so far at great success.
Well, that's clubbed away to the square leg boundary. Fielder out there cuts it off, and they come through for 1 run. Just the 1 off this over so far from Ballinger. And this is just the kind of over the Blaze would have wanted. That wicket fell, yes, and now they've really started to build this pressure because the partnership was building between Armitage and Winfield Hill. Burns came in, we thought maybe she was going to make a difference, but they're struggling now to keep up with that run rate. And again, that's mighty fine over from Grace Ballinger. Just the 1 run coming from it. So 11 overs gone, 66 for 2 Northern Diamonds.
Could that be the over that changes it?
That's the thing, it's not just about the wickets, it's about building that pressure. The dot ball is almost as exciting as a wicket because you really start building that pressure, forcing the batters to start thinking, how are we going to change this up, what else are we going to do? But when they're delivering Yorkers like that, there is very little that you can do.
Oh, massively. And I think we know in T20 cricket, the pressure and who's on top chops and changes so often. And an over like that with 1 run off it, that'll stick in the batters' heads, but not only the batters out here, but the ones on the side as well. But what it should also do is give the bowler at the other end a bit of confidence as well.
Well, Josie Groves to continue. And that's just weighted and played off the back foot by Aaron Burns. And the fielder, deep cover, comes in, cuts it off, and there's just the 1 run. So there's that equation, 70 needed off 53. Run rate pushing up towards 8. Use of the feet, up in the air, back over the bowler's head, and that's going to be 1 bounce 4.
Despite that run rate being up and around 8s, with Winfield Hill still at the crease, Diamonds will still feel like they're definitely in this game. Winfield Hill just taking advantage of mid-off being in the ring, looking to use her feet and hit a lovely strike. 1 bounce, almost 6, but 1 bounce 4.
Well, she moves on to 30. Lauren Winfield Hill again uses the feet, and that's well fielded off her own bowling. Josie Groves cuts it off, and they'll scamper through for 1 run, and that brings Aaron Burns back on strike. As she surveys her field. Groves in again. Use of the feet by Aaron Burns, up over the top, and that is going to be 1 bounce 4.
Changing field to Burns, so we've seen mid-on come back in and mid-off go out, and she's just seen that pocket and has looked to go up and over the top. Didn't get it as cleanly as she probably would have liked to, but nonetheless, still 4 runs. And this over definitely making up from Grace Ballinger's over previously of only 1 run off it.
Yeah, just bringing that required rate down again. Already 10 from the over, and that's a good recovery from Groves. Right on the feet, and just dug out into the leg side, and just the 1 run.
Burns just starting to get going now. And I'm pretty sure Blaze will want to try and put a stop to that as soon as possible.
Final delivery of Josie Groves' 2nd over. And that's slog swept into the leg side, and they'll come through for 1 run to close it out. Well, in the end, quite an expensive over. 12 coming off it from Josie Groves. The end of 12 overs, Northern Diamonds 78 for 2. Lauren Winfield Hill and Aaron Burns out there in the middle. Winfield Hill 32 to her name, and Burns, after pushing on, she's up to 12 from 13.
You can see Marie Kelly and Kirsty Gordon running with each other there. I'm sure having some chats around what the next plans are going to be. We can see Grace Ballinger coming on for her last over now. Pretty tidy so far. Only 13 runs from it, but no wickets as of yet. We can just see Kirsty Gordon looking to give a wave of who potentially might be coming on the next over.
Who's waving their arms around, warming up.
The subtle arm roll, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, Ballinger skips. Well, she looks to sort of scoop it, and there's confusion. They're both at the same end. The ball's gone potentially to the wrong end. But it didn't matter. It was accurate enough, and she's on her way.
Oh, I don't think she is.
Well, the ball should have come to the bowler's end, really, but she might have done enough at the keeper's. She set off as if she was gone. And the umpire said, get back here.
Potentially taken early by the gloves would be my only... With the jazz hands coming out there.
The jazz hands? I think spirit fingers. Well, it was all excitement. The ball basically went to the wrong end. If it come to the bowlers, they were both at the other end. and it would have been easy as you like. Easy throw in to Ballinger at the stumps. And would have been another wicket down. As it stands, 78 for 2. Winfield Hill on 32 faces up, and that's just played back up towards the bowler. Bump ball. Someone in the crowd got very excited, thinking that might have been a wicket.
Little bit of a look back there from Grace, definitely in the fight, wanting that first wicket of the match after she's bowled 3 fantastic overs previously. But yeah, you know when you hit that bump ball and the crowd get a bit excited, you're like, it's alright, it's alright.
Just calm down, everyone. It's just a normal day. Ballinger at the top of her mark. Burns moves across her stumps and made a mighty noise off the bat into the leg side, but the fielder there at deep mid-wicket cuts it off, and there's one more to the total. Score moves on to 80 for 2. In this, the 13th over, Winfield Hill comes on to strike. She's on 33 from 29. Not quite the strike rate she sometimes can fly at. That really low squat position she has. Bat raised like a sabre. That's found the outside edge and fielded it backward point by Josie Groves with that plait hanging out the back of her cap. And there's again no run.
Every dot counting here. Although we've got the very dangerous Winfield Hill on strike, every dot the Blaze will take confidence for, and it puts that slight bit of pressure back on the Northern Diamonds.
Right, 2 legitimate deliveries to come in this over from Grace Ballinger. She goes for the reverse sweep and can't make contact, and that's another dot. Equation 57 needed from 43. They've still got 8 wickets in hand. They'll be, I imagine, quite pleased to see the back of Grace Ballinger.
Oh, absolutely. After the overs she's had, her being out of overs after this, they will look to definitely see who they'll look to take down after.
She's in again. Full toss, clubbed back over the head. Couple of bounces and it is cut off by Marie Kelly.
Marie Kelly coming around from long on, doing a fantastic slide and keeping them to 2 runs. That's the end of Grace Ballinger's allocated overs. 4 overs for 70 runs at an economy of 4.25. She'll be a bit disappointed knowing her that she wouldn't have got a wicket, but she's done a great stint for her team there.
Yeah, just the 17 runs off her 4 overs. And that's it really put the stoppers on this scoring from the Diamonds. These two can be destructive, could cause some damage, and she's not allowed them to get away. 82 for 2, 7 overs still to come. 55 runs required from the remaining 42 balls. They can get a wicket now after that pressure built. And it's Catherine Bryce with the ball in hand as Erin Burns faces up. Flighted delivery from Bryce, dug out by Burns into the leg side. Fielder comes around from deep mid-wicket, and there's just the 1 run.
Yeah, Catherine Bryce's first over, only conceding 4 off it. Having a Catherine Bryce with 3 overs left in your locker isn't a bad option to come on, especially at this time of the game.
Well, if they can get rid of one of these two, they'll feel very much like they're on top in this game, and Winfield Hill would be the prize scalp. And not quite timed, and just played up to the fielder. Marie Kelly comes in from long on, cuts it off, and they come through for 1 run, but still just 1 more to the total. That run rate up at 7.95 still. Bryce in again, right arm over, flicked off the hip to backward square. The fielder does well to cut it off in the end. Diving effort by Josie Groves out on the boundary.
Fantastic work there by Josie. Second time she's pulled out a full stretch dive. Maybe slightly biased, but the fielding by Blaze this evening has been fantastic. Setting the standard, making every run as hard as possibly can for the Northern Diamonds to chase down. Lucy Hyam just shouting a wait, which is very well timed because they would have had 5 out the circle otherwise, so a very, very good spot.
Bryce in flighted delivery, swept into the leg side by Burns for just one more. That's really good game awareness, actually, from Lucy Hyam.
When you've got the captain and the bowler thinking about so much, just having a couple of other players around you that are just as switched on is just as important.
Bryce in again, and that's chipped up in the air. It's going to land safe. Fielder out there on the boundary at deep extra. Sends it back into Sarah Bryce, just the one run.
Another very tidy over so far by Catherine Bryce. So we've seen how destructive Winfield Hill has been, going straight down the ground and not giving her that opportunity as of yet.
Final delivery from Bryce, and that's hiked up in the air into the leg side. Couple of bounces, and to Josie Groves, who comes in off the square leg boundary. And one off the final delivery. So in the end, 7 off the over from Catherine Bryce at the end of 14 overs. Northern Diamonds 89 for 2. Winfield Hill 37 to her name. Erin Burns 18 from 19. We're in for a tight finish here.
We are. That run rate just hitting 8s. I can't imagine the Northern Diamonds want it going much higher than that, but they are only 2 wickets down, so they have got a lot of options still in the locker room. Blaze will want to keep pushing that run rate up as much as possible, and the introduction of the overseas with Nadine de Klerk coming back into the attack.
Well, we're just looking at her photo and her name come up on the screen there. It looked like a sort of first day at school photo.
Well, yes, obviously because she was away on international duty, wasn't here for the photo day, so we've got a lovely photo.
But just her in front of a white wall. Yeah. Well, she's in now, and Blaze will be very happy she's back, and that's given some welly along the ground back towards Marie Kelly, who does the fielding at mid-on and almost runs out Lauren Winfield Hill backing up.
Winfield Hill showing her intent and wanting to get on strike, but Marie Kelly doing some excellent work there, attacking the ball, almost affecting a run out.
De Klerk in again, and that's mistimed by Burns, and De Klerk fields in her follow through. There's a smile from her. Now, are these elbow protectors, or is she wearing a thermal?
So, Tubi grips, which I wear as well, so I'm a fan. So.
Okay.
No long sleeve, protect the elbows, don't want to be getting burns on this grass.
Well, that's hiked backward of square by Burns, and just one run. Tidy from De Klerk so far. So 90 for 2, the score on the board. That run rate almost up at 9. Over 8.5 now. De Klerk kicks up her heels. And Lauren Winfield Hill looks to give herself room, shuffles across and wants to hoik it over the square leg boundary. Doesn't make contact, rehearses the shot, and there's a dot ball.
Yeah, boundary is very, very hard to come by so far in the past 3 overs. Nadine de Klerk keeping it extremely tidy following that Catherine Bryce over that only went for 7 before. That run rate just getting below 9's at 8.8 now.
That's good contact, but there's a fielder out there on the deep mid-wicket boundary, so it'll just be one. And can't do it in ones at the moment. That run rate heading up towards 9.
No, following that really good start by Northern Diamonds and a fantastic partnership between Armitage and Winfield Hill, Blaze have just crept themselves back into the game, not too dissimilar like the Northern Diamonds did.
So 91 for 2, the score on the board. Tight over this from De Klerk, just 2 coming from it so far, 1 to come. And Burns tries to give it some welly and can only pick out the fielder. So just a 3 coming from the over, tight from De Klerk. End 15, Northern Diamonds 92 for 2. I think where Blaze have been really effective so far is they've not given away many extras. We saw quite a few wides in the end, slipping in from the diamonds. So 5 overs remaining. I mean, they've still got wickets in hand. So they can start to take risks.
And we are forgetting that they have got Beth Heath in the locker room still, that we know can strike a pretty hefty ball. So we're still in the position where a wicket still does bring batters into the game. But Catherine Bryce comes in now for her 3rd over.
Slower delivery, just worked into the leg side, and that's another one. Bess Heath, Stair Callis, all in that lineup for the Diamonds. So it's not like losing a wicket and it's going to be curtains for the Diamonds. They've still got 8 up their sleeve. That's signalled wide.
That's a jinx after you've said not many
sorry,
extras.
I'm sorry, Catherine. I'm sorry. But if I could predict the future, I'd be very, very rich because I would have done my lottery numbers and we'd all be on a yacht somewhere in the Caribbean. And use of the feet, she's bowled up! Well, Lauren Winfield-Hill, she used her feet, she shuffled down the pitch, she didn't read it. Catherine Bryce picks up her first wicket of the day. She gets hugs all round, and that is the wicket that they wanted to take Lauren Winfield-Hill, the set batter, 38 from 37. She's got to go.
You can see how much that wicket meant. Winfield-Hill just looking to use her feet, cross the line, and it rattles into middle stump, and that was the wicket that Blaze were looking for. You can see hugs all round, especially between Kirsty Gordon and Catherine Bryce. But it does bring to the middle another very proficient batter in Bess Heath.
Great name.
You're a fan of the last name particularly, yes?
Yeah. Yeah. Just like Heath Ledger. So Catherine Bryce with the breakthrough. Yeah, that does bring Bess Heath out to the middle. She joins Erin Burns, but that run rate up at 9.21. So Bess Heath, she needs to come out with that firepower straight away. We're into the 16th over here. And it's crunch time.
A fantastic 2.5 overs so far by Catherine Bryce, deserving of that wicket with the hard yard she put in the first 2. Currently 1 for 13 off 2.2 overs.
Bryce in again as Heath faces up, and she's off the mark, just worked into the leg side. Fielder comes in, and they look to run back for the second and decide against it.
Yeah, don't take on Nadine de Klerk's arm.
That brings Erin Burns back on strike, the set batter now. 21 from 24 for her. And again, they'll just work that into the leg side, and they come through for one. I had to scamper, but you have to be quick for the second. The finger goes up and she's gone.
Josie Groves, we said she was like a magnet in the game. Ball constantly going to her, and an excellent throw and a fantastic take by Sarah Bryce to dismiss the in batter of Erin Burns. Blaze will be definitely feeling on top right now.
There's some pun in there somewhere about Blazes and Burns and being an Erin Burns victim because of the Blaze, and I just can't quite put it together, but you get my vibe. That is just what the Blaze needed. 2 quick wickets really put the stoppers on this Diamonds chase. That partnership was going so well, but they took on Josie Grove. She's not even in the image there. Comes in, clean pickup, straight into Sarah Bryce, who's in front of the stumps, takes it in front. Really good work by her. She's one of the best keepers around at the moment. And that brings the Dutch international Stair Callis to the middle. And we do know she can also hit a long ball.
Yeah, despite 2 new batters at the crease, both very experienced and both very big hitters. But they will appreciate that a lot of pressure will be on these 2 now to see how close they can get Diamonds and even over the line.
Well, Callis off the mark straight away, worked up to mid-on. And they pick up the 1 run. Well, what an over this has been. The wicket, the run out, and now 2 new batters out in the middle. That run rate over 9.5 now. Catherine Bryce closes out the over with just the 2, which looks like they're actually just going to be the 1. They've given up on the second run, just the 1 off the final ball. So in the end, really successful over that from Catherine Bryce. At the end of 16, 98 for 4. We're in for a very tight finish here, and I know there are lots of people tuning in around and about, even players, Central Sparks, Amy Campbell tuning in. She's watching intently. Obviously, they will have to play these teams at some point themselves. So they'll be watching intently, as are we here. As are the fans. There's a few fans in tonight, even in the cold of Nottingham. And we're in for quite a finish here. 98 for 4 after 16 overs. 2 new batters out in the middle. And Teresa Graves given the ball.
Yeah, Teresa Graves from opening the batting comes in for her first over of the game. I must admit, it's much more nerve-wracking watching from this side, but nonetheless, the Blaze have done absolutely fantastic so far, getting themselves back into this game.
And that's full and dug out. It's a good start, this from Teresa Graves. Do you need to hold my hand? Are you okay?
I'm doing all right at the moment.
Are you going to get up and start shuffling around in a minute?
No, I get up occasionally. There's a few stands, but we're doing all right at the moment.
Okay, well, if you need to hold my hand, the offer's there. And Graves in again, that right arm over, and again full and just dug out. That's perfect Yorker delivery from Teresa Graves, and she's jogging back to her mark. You can hear the voices. The Blaze really feel like they're in this. She's in again, and that's dug out and flicked in the air, and it's put down at deep mid-wicket. There was a chance of a run out next, and then they could come back for overthrows. They look to come back. Callis is ready, but they'd run too far past the stumps. It's all going on out in the middle. They come back for 2 in the end.
Yeah, that shot being hit out to deep mid-wicket. Unfortunately, Michaela Kirk just not being able to gather it in. Fantastic diving effort. Almost resulting in overthrows, but players backing it up and keeping it to 2 runs.
And the full toss. Callis looks to hoik it away, ends up with just 1 hand on the bat. That's Bess Heath, I should say. Callis just chilling with the hand on the hip at the other end.
Fantastic start by Teresa Graves in her first over. Wicket chance and only 2 runs from it so far.
And that's full, and that's lofted back over her head. And that's going to be 1 bounce 4, just breaking the shackles on a pretty tidy first over from Teresa Graves.
Just going back to our sticker on the hat conversation, I've just looked down and seen Kirsty Gordon has got her sticker on her cap. So if the captain's done it, then I'm in the clear.
Oh, if my captain does it, I'm doing it too. I'll let you have it.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
A well-needed boundary there for the Diamonds. That run rate, though, above 10s now at 10.42.
Still just the 6 from the over so far, 1 to come. And that's played through the covers. And they're going to try and come back for the second. They're going to have to be quick, and it's good running in the end, taking on the arm, putting the pressure on the fielder. So 2 off the final delivery. In the end, 8 off the over, but it's still not enough at the moment. 17 overs gone, 106 for 4. So Diamonds needing another 31 from the final 3 overs.
It looks like we've got the very experienced Nadine de Klerk coming back into the attack. Or if these 2 keep going, we are in for a proper ripper in the last 3 overs, aren't we?
All right, ripper. The nail biter.
The Aussie accent's coming out now as well, is it?
It's all just getting to me. It's all very exciting. And I'm a neutral. Well, Nadine de Klerk with those tubey grips on her arm. Just makes you think of when you were at school, you did anything, they would just put a tubey grip on it. Break your ankle, have a tubey grip.
Yeah.
Or when you were at junior school and you did anything and they had those sort of blue tissues and they would just damp it and put it on it.
Fixes everything.
Doesn't it just? De Klerk in from the Stuart Broad end, and that's dug out by Callis to deep mid-wicket, and she thinks about coming back from the second. She's sent back by Bess Heath and it keeps it to just 1.
Fantastic work out there by Catherine Bryce, just looking to keep it to 2. Apologies, to 1.
107 for 4. Just the 4 extras bowled so far in this innings. And that's weighted on the back foot and has found a top edge. And that's racing towards the boundary. Fielder in pursuit, can't get there. And that's going to be 4.
The boundaries you love to see as the batting team are the boundaries you hate to see as the bowling team. A very welcome boundary for the Diamonds. Nonetheless, coming off the top edge and racing down to the boundary for 4.
De Klerk in, and Heath gives it a good whack into the leg side, and deep mid-wicket in again in the game, and there's just the 1. So 25 needed off 15.
Kirsty Gordon just getting her angles right before the next ball comes in at Callis.
De Klerk, right arm over. Callis looks to give herself room and works it down to backward point.
She has demolished those stumps.
Yeah, Sarah Bryce means business today, and now she has to try and put them back together again.
Diamonds just nicking a single to short third. Getting the very dangerous Heath back on strike. 15 off 10 so far.
Well, she used her feet and shuffles, and it's gone straight down the throat of Marie Kelly, and it's a really good grab. Coming in off the long on boundary, she takes it sort of by her ankles. Clean as you like, and there's a fist pump to my right from the girl in orange. And that is the end of Bess Heath. She was just getting going, but she's got to go now. 15 she made, and that's another wicket for Blaze.
Yeah, Marie Kelly makes no mistake here. Bess Heath looking to go up and over the top. But in the end, a great diving catch by Marie Kelly. You can see by the celebration and the hugs off Kirsty Gordon that exactly how much that wicket means to the Blaze. Which brings the introduction of Emma Marlowe to the crease. Did a lot of opening, the batting, within the Rachel Hey-Ho Flint competition. But still a lot of work to do with 24 runs to win off 13 balls, but still 5 wickets in hand.
Well, you feel that the heavy lifting will have to be done by Stir Callis if she can get back on strike. We know she can hit a big ball, but not from the non-strikers. Well, it's a bit of innovation from Marlowe to begin with, as she looks to sort of paddle it over her shoulder, and they scamper through for 1. She retains a strike, so 18 overs gone, 2 still to come. Diamonds 114 for 5, and that required rate up at 11.5. Needing 23 off just 12 deliveries. And you wonder what that conversation would be between those two in the middle.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of boundary options are going to be discussed. I can imagine as Callis as the in batter and the more experienced batter, just refining what plans they're going to do and how they're going to look to take this 11.5 required run rate down. But that is going to be made difficult by the captain coming back into the attack with Kirsty Gordon. Already 2 wickets to her name.
And not quite timed. And there's a run out, mix up in the middle. They both end up in the middle of the pitch. And this is all crumbling down for the Diamonds at the moment. They're losing their sparkle. And Sturkallis makes the slow trudge back towards the dugout.
Yeah, that ball absolutely middled in an extra cover. Bit of confusion, but in the end led to the run out of Sturkallis, who we highlighted as probably the player that needed to do a lot of the work in order to get close. But fantastic composure by Kirsty Gordon to collect that ball and take the stumps, and by the thrower.
Yeah, complete lack of communication between the two there. Callis, she was backing up, and then there was do I, don't I, and by the time you thought I do, well, it was all over.
I've just seen Catherine Bryce just run on over to Kirsty Gordon, I'm sure trying to give her any intel she can about her Scottish teammate that's just come to the crease.
Left arm round the wicket, and there's beaten the edge. And that's the dot ball. Well, they've got to find these boundaries now. They're looking more and more like this is slipping away from them, the Diamonds. And that's just worked into the leg side. Fielder comes in from long on, has to be quick, the running. And that's really good work in the end, taking on the arm. And they scamper through for the second, but not going to do it in twos. Got to find the boundary. 21 needed off 9.
Yeah, Marie Kelly just doing the field in there at long on, fires the ball in, just slightly outside the reach of Kirsty Gordon to bring it back to the stumps.
And Gordon's in again, used to the feet, shuffles down the pitch, Emma Marlowe, but doesn't quite time it. It's along the ground, and they think about coming back for the second, but she's sent back. And it's kept to just 1 by Josie Groves, who again does the fielding.
Josie Groves having a fantastic night in the field, not allowing anyone to get through for twos, and additionally adding with the run out that she had earlier, which was the big wicket.
Full delivery, struck on the pad perhaps, or maybe she's managed to get some bat on that. Nope, umpire Fields leg by.
Kirsty Gordon, 1 delivery left in her allocated over, only 20 runs with the 13 dots so far.
And those 2 wickets to her name. And she's bowled up, make that 3. Kirsty Gordon, the captain, leading from the front. Emma Marlowe looks to hoik it back over her head, completely misses it, and holds her bat against her head as she knows it's almost down and out now for the Diamonds. Kirsty Gordon picks up her 3rd with her final delivery and finishes with figures of 3 for 20.
As Kirsty Gordon has done all season so far, leading from the front with the ball. Marlowe just looking to give herself a bit of space, backing across the leg side. Kirsty Gordon follows her and looks to dismantle that leg stump.
Well, 118 for 7, 1 over still to come, and that brings Grace Hall out to the middle. Well, she's got to do something a bit magic here.
And the experience of Catherine Bryce coming back into the attack to bowl the final 6 balls of the game.
Well, that has gone high, it's gone a long way, and that's a 6. Well, 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 Scotland faces Scotland, and it goes for 6. That is just what the Diamonds needed.
What a fantastic strike by Fraser. Only her 2nd ball to face, and she starts the last over with a 6. Still 13 runs required off the final 5 balls.
Bryce in again, right arm over, slower delivery, dug out, and it's just plugged somewhat just over extra cover, and in the end it was only 1, but now we've gone for overthrows, and there's another 1 added to the total. Blaze need to try and keep this tidy now. They can't get carried away. They can't let them back into the game at this point.
11 runs needed off the final 4 balls. That 6 has given Diamonds a glimmer of hope.
Fraser on strike. And that's up in the air. Fielder coming round. Marie Kelly coming round from long on. Can she get there? No, it plugs. But in the end, it's just 2. But is it a run out as well? Catherine Bryce thinks she's got it. The finger doesn't go up, so it's just 2.
That ball has just gone high enough to allow the Diamonds to scamper through for 2 runs. 9 off 3.
I think this is what they call squeaky bum time. Which I think I'm allowed to say on air. I've said it now, so I hope so.
You've committed to it.
I've gone for it. I've gone for it. Fraser on strike to her Scotland captain. And she looks to launch it back over her head and can't dig it out. And they scamper through for 1. But that means that Grace Hall is on strike, and it'll be her first delivery that she's faced today. And it was Catherine Fraser who was doing the heavy lifting. We saw her hit that big old 6. Now just 2 deliveries to come. 8 needed off the final 2. As Hall takes guard.
Without pointing out the obvious, this needs to be a boundary.
Well, sometimes you've got to point out the obvious. Catherine Bryce in, and that's just dug out, and it's worked into the leg side, and they're going to try and come back for the second. And they do well to run it. So now 6 needed off the final ball. Well, if Grace Hall can make contact and launch this over the rope, I think she'd be somewhat of a hero in the north.
Kirsty Gordon just coming together with her bowler, looking to get her boundary riders exactly where she wants them. She's got a deep square, deep mid-wicket, a long on and a deep extra cover.
Well, if there was ever someone I would rely on to bowl the final delivery with 6 needed off it, Catherine Bryce would be right up there. She's in. And that's struck on the pad, and there's celebration to my right. There are squeals out in the middle. The Blaze have done it. What a fight back this has been. And the Diamonds, they just can't get over the line. They finished their 20 overs, 132 for 7. At one point in that final over, it looked like Catherine Fraser had got them back in the game, but in the end, they needed 6 off the final delivery, and it was just a leg by in the end. So the Blaze, they win it here at Trent Bridge on a chilly Thursday night by 4 runs against the Northern Diamonds, and that makes it 2 from 2 for the Blaze.
Fantastic finish by the Blaze. We've got to give a lot of credit to Catherine Fraser coming in and giving Diamonds that hope, but the experience and the skill of Catherine Bryce just finishing off that game and allowing the Blaze to win by 5 runs. A fantastic win for the Blaze nonetheless, and I'm sure they'll take a lot of confidence going 2 from 2 into their next game on the weekend.
Well, they look pretty happy, don't they, out there, and they should feel that too. At one point, it looked like the game was going to get away from them. That Armitage-Winfield Hill partnership was building nicely. But in the end, it's the Blaze who have done it here at Trent Bridge in front of a pretty good crowd for a chilly Thursday night. And Kirsty Gordon, well, she was phenomenal with the ball, the captain. Erin Burns, yes, took 5 for the Diamonds, but in the end, in vain on a losing side there. 5 for 25 for Erin Burns. Katie Levick, 3 for 22 for her. And then with the ball for the Diamonds, it was Kirsty Gordon's 3 for 20, and then 1 apiece for de Klerk and Catherine Bryce, plus that run out that really made the difference. So Blaze winning it by 4 runs in the end. And you've got to say Josie Groves was pretty hefty in the field, did some heavy lifting in the field, but also some heavy lifting with the bat. Her unbeaten 24 really pushed them up to that competitive 136, and it was just too much for the visitors, and they could only make 132 for 7 in their 20 overs. We've seen a pretty mighty fine game, haven't we?
We have, and I can't lie, Blaze have given us a couple of those, a couple of tight games. Last time these guys met at Scarborough, we had a tight game, and we've had another very entertaining one for all the fans in tonight. But the experience and the captaincy levels by Kirsty Gordon to be able to manufacture that win and ensure that they get off to a flying start has been fantastic, and I'm sure you will see all smiles around, not just from the players but from the coaching staff as well.
And the next Blaze game you can see here at Trent Bridge is Friday the 31st of May at 2:30 in the afternoon. The Blaze will be taking on the Central Sparks then. I'm sure some of them have been tuning in today watching this and they might be feeling slightly worried, slightly quaking over their cup of tea at home with their hot water bottles because it is quite chilly. So maybe it'll have warmed up by then. But that is all from us here today. What a game we've seen. The Blaze winning it by 4 runs, going right down to the final delivery. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in, and thank you to my partner in crime today. I hope you enjoyed your commentary stint today, and thanks everyone, anyone who's enjoyed today's. Remember, you can always head to the ground for the next game, or there will always be live streams. Thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed today. Have a lovely evening.